The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is Scorpio Sky, and you are listening to the Keepin It Strong Style podcast, and it is the best.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here alongside with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll be giving you an update on the World Tag League, as well as covering all the latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can support our show by subscribing to the Social Suplex Podcast Network on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts and columns at socialsuplex.com. Go to socialsuplex.com/subscribe to sign up to get all the podcasts and columns delivered directly to your email inbox. All right, young boy. World Tag League 2018. 8 nights have happened so far. How are you feeling?
There's been 8 nights?
Yeah.
They haven't dropped all 8 nights, right?
The 8th night aired today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Look here.
Yeah, haven't got a chance to watch it yet, but we do have the updated rankings and results from that show.
Yo, my New Japan World must be messed up because it's only showing me November up to November 25th.
Oh, maybe it was VOD and
maybe it hasn't dropped yet.
Yeah, maybe it's dropping tomorrow. But the show actually happened today.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. Yeah, they've only dropped up to November 25th.
Okay.
Because I was playing catch up. I was playing like pretty extensive catch up this past weekend. This might even, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think about watching wrestling while you're driving?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? I would say I have done it before.
Like,
oh man,
I do it like all the time.
I can't say I do it all the time. I've done it once or twice, but it's not something that I do all the time. Not something I'm proud of.
You know, I like I said, I'm probably giving myself away. I really try not to do it with New Japan just because I want to bring my A game. But sometimes I'm like, you know, it's a, you know, Finn Juice versus like Tenkozy match on a Road to show. Like, right. I'm just gonna watch this because I've only got so much time in the day. Like, by the time it's over, I'm gonna be home, and then like I'll have watched it, quote unquote. But
yeah, I don't think I've done it for New Japan. I've only done it for WWE. Pop the network up.
But no, like I was doing a lot of traveling this weekend, so I mean, like, you get on the open road, and I mean, like, there's no other traffic, and I'm like, let's throw in this World Tag League.
Fire up this New Japan World.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, the funny thing is, you'd think I wouldn't be able to pay attention, but like, I've been paying attention. Like, I genuinely, I mean, we've had our detractions about the World Tag League and things like that, and I think some of it was with good reason, but I will say that this tag league has been very, very good.
Dude, it's been definitely better than last year's tag league.
It has been better than last year's tag league, which has been surprising.
And like we said, if what we saw was good, we would come out here and say it was good.
There was some teams I was like more into last year. Like, there were certain like story arcs and storylines.
Yeah, I mean, we had like War Machine last year.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like, them, Super Strong Team were like two of the teams that I was like I was like, you know, best friends, all that. There, Death Juice. So I mean, there was a lot of intriguing things going on. Not to say this tournament doesn't have that, but overall the quality and the ease of watching the shows has been better. I will still say that even with me giving the praise to to the tag league. This generally is the type of wrestling that normally I would just like kind of pop in the background, and I might not sit there with the notepad and do, take step-by-step notes on it. I might like eat some cereal in the background or cook or, whatever, clean. I don't know, that sort of thing. So I don't feel too bad driving because I'm actually paying pretty good attention to it, believe it or not. And like I'm getting the gist of these matches. And there's a couple matches where I'm like marking out while I'm like on the road and I'm like... So yeah, but yeah, I didn't get all the way caught up. Unfortunately, I got up to the second match of day 6, which was Tenkozy and God. So we have all of the results here, but yeah, you watched the November 25th show.
Yeah, I've seen everything.
Is that that's a full production show?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. What do they have all the matches? Or?
Yep. All the matches are on there, including the Kazuchika Okada and Roppongi 3K against Shingo, Bushi, and Naito. That was the only non-tournament match on the show.
Oh, gotcha. So it's not like a Korakuen show where they're doing, the full undercard and all that.
Yeah, it's like 6 or 7 tag league matches and then that Okada match in the middle.
That's one thing I've been wondering. I mean, have you been able to figure out a rhyme or a reason to when and why these tournament matches are happening the way they are?
No, I feel like it's random. Like, and if you could, we have the listing of like who defeated who on day 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah,
and it's like some people have 2 matches back to back. Some people have a match on day 3 and a match till like day 5. It's like all over the place. Like, normally we have the A and B block. We know, all right, day 4 is going to be B block. Day 5 is going to be A block. But it seems like all over the place to me.
At least they're actually doing everything they say they're doing. I don't know if you know this, like back in the day, New Japan used to have these like world leagues or MSG leagues and stuff. And then like... But if you go through the record books, you're like, I can't find these guys wrestling each other, and like they would just show up and be like, oh yeah, they'd pull some Rio de Janeiro crap. They'd be like, oh yeah, this person amassed 8 points over the last like tour, and then you like go to cage match, you cannot find any of those matches, and you're like, when did these guys wrestle? And back in the day, a lot of like wrestling tournaments used to do like round robin tournament stuff. They used to kind of do that.
They would kayfabe you.
They would kayfabe you, yeah, because certain guys didn't want to take falls and stuff like that, or they didn't have the dates, and so they'd tell you that this stuff all happened and never really happened.
Technology wasn't as advanced back then. There was no streaming or anything or that many news sites. So,
but that's the problem with wrestling today. I'm bringing kayfabe back. I'm gonna start my own promotion, and I'm gonna
young boy wrestling.
I don't know what it's gonna be called yet. Don't pigeonhole me. And
get your trademarks in.
Yeah, I gotta get my Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Call up the Glaciers.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm gonna kayfabe the crap out of everybody. Like I'll just always be kayfabe and
you work the boys.
Everybody. I'll be working myself. Like
work yourself into a shoot.
I always work myself. Oh man! So you want to get in this World Tag League, bro?
Yeah. We have a question from Reddit user Templar235. He says, which World Tag League team do you think was going to be awful that has turned out to be great? ZSJ and Taichi have really entertained me this league.
Don't you love it when our listeners ask you questions but then give you their answers along with it, and then you're like, oh, absolutely, like you gave the best answer. You've stolen our thunder, Templar. Like now I have to pick another team that's not as like surprising. Like, no, thanks for the question though.
But on all seriousness, Templar, I mean, he picked the one for me. I mean, it's been Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi.
Yeah.
I mean, at the beginning of the tournament, I was like, man, I really wanted to see Sabre and Suzuki together.
I still do.
I mean, I still do, but we got to settle with what we got. We got Sabre and Taichi, and they've been great in this tournament. They've worked really well together. And it might be one of those cases where Taichi's one of those guys who are just better in a tag team.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I'm not gonna you could be right. I'm not gonna disagree with you, but I don't know if that's my opinion personally.
Right. I'm just saying, so far I've enjoyed Taichi more in tag matches than I have in singles action this year.
Yeah, I think him being on a team with Zack Sabre has a lot to do with that because I've seen him team with lots of guys over the years, and I've never really dug the whole Taichi thing. You know what I mean? Like,
right, yeah.
Saw him team with Kanemaru, see him team with Taka, saw him team with Isuka, Suzuki, everybody, and I'd never have like actually dug what he's been doing, but for whatever reason it works there because there's such a contrast between him and Zach. It does kind of work. It's been very interesting. Plus Zach is like a star, so like Taichi kind of has to like step up his game to be right there with him. Yeah, absolutely. I would say out of everybody, that is the team that's probably surprising me the most out of everybody. Because I was not I mean, there's every reason in the world that if someone were to look at that pairing on paper, and especially if they're not a fan of Zack Sabre or Taichi or both, which there are plenty of people like that,
yeah,
to say that they're not going to enjoy what they bring to the table, and then suddenly it's like, oh, they're one of the top teams in the tournament. Like, who would have ever figured that?
Yeah.
I thought that they would have done decent and had some good matches, but like they've been entertaining. They've seemed fresh. They haven't seemed contrived or like, that whole stickiness. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's been fresh. It's been really good. Another team that I don't want to say they like have surprised me, but in a little way, Hangman Page and Yujiro Dick and Balls.
Yeah, they've definitely.
That's the name of the team.
I know. I've seen our good buddy Chris Charlton came out because there was a
don't work yourself into a shoe over this over Dick and Balls.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, Paige and Yujiro, they've been impressive as well.
I mean, I'll still say like, last year I thought that Hangman was very impressive and showed a lot of improvement, and then in this tournament, it's even more so. You can just see how much better he is. Yujiro is always just Yujiro, so it's not like I'm like, wow, Yujiro's making like a run.
Right. It's just Hangman killing it.
Hangman's killing
He's
it.
He's clearly a star. He's definitely a star of that team.
Absolutely. But, Yujiro's no slouch. I mean, if you've ever seen his stuff from like No Limit when he was with Tetsuya Naito back in the day, I mean, he can be a fantastic worker. We see shades of that every once in a blue moon. So, but they're a team that have consistently put on good matches as well. So, yeah, it's been pretty surprising to me, actually. And many of the other teams that are doing well, I'm not that surprised about. But these two teams, especially for me, anyone else that kind of sticks out to you that you didn't think you would enjoy, and then you're like, wow, they're doing pretty good.
Not really. Everybody else has kind of met my expectations. Yeah.
Great question, though.
We have another question from Reddit user WRPLA101. He says, even though it's been a bit of a disappointment that the lineup for the tournament isn't exactly classic, do you think it's good for guys like Yujiro and Taichi, who might have been the ones to make way for some bigger names, are getting a good go? I think they've both been good examples of people taking a hold of opportunity and making something of it. Or am I being fooled by the fact they're both teaming with guys I like a lot anyway?
Well, I think the interesting thing is that in years past, like especially last year, Yujiro was not the fall guy. It was Hangman Page.
Right.
And I think in most years, they would normally probably pair Taichi up. Given the kind of push they've given him this year, they would normally pair him up with somebody else who can take pinfalls for him. They just happen to have him with, like, normally I could see him and Isuka.
Yeah.
And Isuka be the fall guy. So that's one interesting thing. So the question essentially is like,
is it good? Is the tournament good for guys like Yujiro and Taichi instead of having like an Okada or a Tanahashi in there? Is it good for like Yujiro and Taichi to be in there and getting a chance to shine?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the appeal of this tournament. It's just like everything with New Japan Pro Wrestling. There's opportunity in front of you if you want to seize it, if you want to go after it, and you make the most out of your opportunity. Look at what Hangman Page accomplished just last year, and I know I've mentioned that twice now. This is the third time on this broadcast, but I mean that's a prime example of a guy who, last year they had a losing record. He's a minor guy in a bloated faction. He's got a bad gimmick. There's a lot of reasons that Hangman should not work. But he just worked harder than almost everybody, almost every single night. Like last year, Yujiro was not trying very hard at all. He was there to collect a check, drop his Tokyo Pimp like DDT and get out of there.
Yeah.
And maybe he's had to step up his game because of how like he's getting outshined, and also his status compared to Hangman so much lower than it was just 1 year ago. So
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do think it's always great to give guys opportunities. As far as whether these two are actually, making the most of it, probably right now, I'm leaning more towards Taichi than Yujiro. I feel like you said, with Taichi being in there with Sabre, he's kind of forced to step up his game. Yujiro too, but I feel like Taichi has been a little bit more impressive so far than Yujiro.
And I one last part to this question, they said something to the effect of, that they could have seen bigger name guys being in these spots.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, especially with New Japan, that's not going to necessarily be the case, because there always needs to be someone to take a pinfall, and they do a pretty good job protecting guys that they want to protect. So there was always going to be someone in a mid-card, upper mid-card, or even lower mid-card role.
Right. For example, 2016, you had Kenny Omega and Chase Owens.
Yeah.
You had Okada and Yoshihashi.
Yep.
If a star's in there, they're going to be tagged with somebody that can eat the falls for them.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't have a faction without guys like that,
Right.
I mean, our podcast network has Caleb Baldwin, and that... You gotta have someone who makes you look good and puts you over, brother,
Oh, man. Shout out, Caleb.
Shout out to Caleb. Hashtag free Caleb. They freed him and he didn't do nothing with it.
Dang. Biggest disappointment of 2018. Oh, man. Love you, Caleb. And then the last part of this question, he says, also, did you guys like El Desperado on the Japanese commentary for Night 7? His evil cackle was amazing, even though I couldn't understand a word he was saying. His despicable relishing of all the punishment the Suzuki Gun teams were dishing out was incredible. So you haven't seen that part yet.
No.
To me, I mean, I don't know. I really didn't focus in on Desperado that much on commentary. I did think it was funny, like he was kind of like holding the way for like Iska and Suzuki to like run over guys on KES, but I wasn't really paying attention, focusing on him, on his laughing.
Did you was that something like really noticeable that you noticed, like a Desperado on commentary?
Yeah, there were several times where they would cut the Desperado on the commentary, and then once Suzuki and Iska and KES in their separate matches, when they were brawling around the crowd, they would cut to like the Desperado.
What I mean more so is like the audio.
Oh. Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is with me. I don't pick up on... I don't know if I just don't have an ear that's sensitive to that sort of thing, but when I hear foreign voices, that's all I hear is foreign voices.
I've kind of picked up on Milano's voice.
I couldn't tell you what Milano's voice is like at all.
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, I really didn't like... That's why I really didn't stand out to me on commentary. I did notice him cutting the camera to him several times, and like he got up and like held the gate open, like when the Suzuki Gun guys were like coming through.
Did he have an evil cackle, like Kaientai like sort of? He deal?
Must. Honestly, I can't remember. Like I missed that.
I'm just imagining him as like a Bond villain right now. Like I'm like, I don't know. I guess maybe now that you've asked the question, I'll have to like take special notice of this.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and listen to it. But all right, let's start breaking down these teams, and we're gonna start at the top, the leading team with 8 points, 4 wins, 1 loss, the LIJ team of Evil and Sonata. On day 4, they defeated Hangman and Yujiro. Day 5, they defeated Makabe and Hanare. Day 7, they were defeated by Zack Sabre and Taichi. And day 8, they defeated Tenkozy. So overall, what have you been thinking about Evil and Sonata?
They've been fine. I thought that all the matches that I've seen them in, I haven't seen day 7 with Zack Sabre and Taichi. Is that a match that you were saying was really good?
Yeah, so far to me that is the best match of the tournament. It's the only
hot take.
Yeah, it's the only match that I have ranked at 4 stars. A lot of matches have come close, but not quite hit it for me personally. But for me, Evil and Sonata versus Sabre and Taichi. 4 stars. I loved it, and once again, Evil cannot beat Zack Sabre Jr.
Very interesting. I'll have to watch. So what ended up happening there that Zack Sabre and Taichi picked up the win?
So towards the end, Evil's going for everything's evil on Sabre, and Sabre just kept reversing. And then eventually Taichi, I think he hit Sonata with the mic stand, and then Sabre got Evil up in for the Zack driver. Before he dropped him, Taichi super kicked him, then he hit the Zack driver and got the pin.
Did they do something? Did they do that in another match as well, or was that the first time they did that on this tour?
I think to me that was the first time they did this tour.
I saw Zack driver the crap out of. I don't remember which night it was, whether it was day 4 or day 5, but I mean it was awesome. It might have been that mock, or no, I'd have to look and see what other matches. It was
against Best Friends.
It was against Best Friends. Yeah. Yep. But I've been thinking that Evil and Sonata have had a good run. They had a tendency last year to kind of perform big on the big nights when there's TV, and then really like tone it down and kind of just go by the numbers. I think though part of the reason I'm enjoying Evil and Sonata more this year than I did last year is they've just gelled more as a team. They've got a lot more experience now, a lot more time together as a unit, and I think it's not like so noticeable where you'd be like, oh my god, like, but once you compare this tag league to last year's, they do have a good flow, kind of like when you watch a Young Bucks match, and the Young Bucks had their match. Evil and Sonata kind of have their match now that maybe last year they were still kind of finding their positioning and their placement and their style. Now they have it. So even these like on these other nights like day 4, day 5, even though they're not blow away, they've been pretty good.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is, but this year I've really been impressed by Evil. I feel like he's got
in the tag league,
just in general. I feel like he's improved from last year, and
I mean, you didn't put him in the most improved category this year for our awards.
I didn't. There's some other guys that kind of outrank him, but compared to last year, I do think he's gotten better. And I don't know, he's more over with me this year, and him and Sonata both have been good so far in this tournament.
Yeah, I thought they've had a good run. I thought the Hangman Page and Yujiro match was pretty good. The Makabe Hinari match was good. I haven't seen day 7 yet, and then they picked up a win over Tenkozy. So I mean, these guys are rolling. They got 8 points, and they're right at the top of this this entire field.
Yeah. Also tied with 8 points, the team of Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano, 4 wins, 1 loss. On day 3, they defeated Suzuki and Isuka. Day 6, they defeated KES. Day 7, they defeated Nagata and Nakanishi. And day 8, they defeated Finjuice.
Something tells me that day 8 match is probably very good. Mm-hmm. I just could see those 4 guys like having a really good match. They always all work really well together, so I'm looking forward to that dropping.
Yeah, definitely. Out of the other matches, they had the KES match. I thought was a decent match.
Why do I not remember? Oh, that's day 6. I haven't seen that yet. That was the last match on day 6, huh?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. I did see the Suzuki and Isuka match, and I remember thinking that there's a lot of plotting and you got the Suzuki Ishii stuff.
Yeah, that was the best part of that match was Suzuki and Ishii exchanges. Besides that, the Isuka stuff was not, obviously that is horrible.
I liked when Isuka got Tomohiro Ishii hit him with a really freaking hard lariat. And I was like, go to hell, Isuka.
And then Nagata and Nakanishi, it was there. It was fine. There were a couple botches in there. The finish was a little botched. They were doing that low blow schoolboy lariat combo, and Nakanishi fell down before Yano could schoolboy him, and he had to stack him.
So yeah, I haven't seen these last 3 matches of Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano, but I'm not surprised that they're sitting at 8 points at this point in the tournament. I think we talked about the push they've received this past year, and yeah, I don't have enough to say. I haven't seen anything egregiously bad from them, obviously, all year. We've sung their praises, so
yeah, and so they've been on a run here these last few days. So, yeah, they've picked up momentum.
So does everyone have 5 matches so far?
Yes, everybody has 5 matches.
And how many, and just to jog my memory, how many matches is everyone getting? 12? 13?
So there are 14 teams in the tournament, so everybody's getting 13.
So we're not even halfway through yet.
Yeah. We have a lot more nights to go.
And this tournament's like almost over, like not even too long from now. So it's like every night, like this tour is supposed to be like the relaxing tour, but they're just like do.
Yeah, they're like knocking it out.
Yeah, they're just popping them out like they're like Duggar children or something, you know? It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Like I keep trying to catch up, and every time I catch up, like there's another show, and I'm like, dang.
Chill out, New Japan.
Yeah. Stop giving us so much content. What are you doing?
Also tied at 8 points is Killer Elite Squad. 4 wins, 1 loss. On day 3, they defeated Elgin and Cobb. Day 6, they were defeated by Ishii and Yano. Day 7, they defeated Best Friends. And day 8, they defeated Nagata and Nakanishi.
Day 7 looks like a freaking awesome card.
It was. It was a full produced show. It was a pretty decent card, and KES and Best Friends.
That was the match of the tournament last year.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
That was like 4.5.
Pull up real quick. What I
or maybe it wasn't. I can't remember. I know Best Friends had a good match with them, and then they also had a good match with War Machine and Super Strong Team, and I don't remember which one it was they had the 4.5 match with.
Yeah, I can't remember either. See, I'm pulling up my ratings here. Let me see what I rated that best. So I rated Best Friends and KES 3.25.
Okay, that's not very good.
I mean, it wasn't horrible. I mean, I thought it was a solid match.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously those guys.
Well, the matches they had this past year, that 2-match series they had, I wasn't very impressed with those matches. Earlier this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But Killer Elite Squad, like I've been saying from the beginning, they're one of the teams that I predicted to likely win this thing. I've kind of gone back on that a little bit, just seeing how things turn out. But, I mean, there's no denying that they're going to be in the mix at the end, and they're sitting here with 8 points, so it's not surprising. I thought that they've looked pretty good all throughout.
Yeah, I mean, KES, they're a team. They're obviously the powerhouse team. But yeah, I mean, Dave Boy Smith Jr., I think he's solid for a big man. I think Lance Archer is solid for a big guy as well.
I liked the Elgin Cobb match. We'll talk about Elgin Cobb a little bit later on, but I do want to say that I was expecting a match like KES and Elgin Cobb to be a main event. Level match, and it was
possibly later on in the tour.
Yep, and it was like the second match
on day 3.
And it didn't get a lot of time, and it was okay. But these guys had a really good match, especially last year. The stuff with Jeff Cobb and Davey Boy Smith kind of sticking out to me specifically. And this match they had this year was nowhere near that. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and it kind of shows you where Elgin and Cobb are positioned in this tournament. But KES, they're getting a lot of points. But have you noticed, like, Evil and Sonata have been like the team that they're almost always in the main event when it comes to this sort of stuff, and like KES is not.
Yeah, it just shows you how much over LIJ is and how much over Evil and Sonata have gotten over the last year.
I think not even when they have non-tournament matches that are wrapping up the shows. I think LIJ is in the main event the whole tour.
Yeah.
So, also, before we move on, how about these crowds, man?
What? You mean like the sizes?
Compared to last year's tour?
They've been up. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but yeah, this year's World Tag League, the numbers are way up compared to last year and the previous year.
Last year they had all those A-block shows that were in really small half-filled gymnasiums, and then the B-block nights were like, the bigger shows majority of the time. But this year, like, they're in strictly larger sized venues. I don't know how big they are.
They're running some of the buildings that they normally run for the Destruction Tour.
Yeah, it's been like kind of surprising, and also like it's just been cool, like, and I think that's one of the other reasons why this tournament has been a little bit easier to digest, is that the crowds have been great.
Yeah, the crowds are into it, and I don't know, like, for me lately, like, the crowd plays a big part into my enjoyment of matches and enjoyment of the show. So
same. I liked Day 3's venue, that Technodome.
Yeah,
that was
sweet
cool
looking. Yeah.
Building. Oh man, that building was really cool. So yeah, KES 8 points. They've only picked up one loss. Who even beat them? They lost to Ishii and Yano.
Yeah,
which that was kind of surprising.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we expect Ishii and Yano to do well in this tournament, which they are. But
Day 6 had a couple upsets.
Yeah, Day 6 was like the upset day.
Huh. Interesting. So 8 points. I still see them being right there. I think they're gonna be in the finals, man.
Yeah. It's no surprise that they're top first place right now. And then below them at 6 points with 3 wins and 2 losses, we have the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Champions, the Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga Tango Loa. Day 3, they defeated Finjuice. Day 6, they were defeated by Tenkozi. Day 7, they defeated Suzuki and Iska. Day 8, they were defeated by Cobb and Elgin. Thoughts on GOD?
I think it's funny when Tama Tonga comes out there and swings that belt.
Yeah, he swings the belt, he pulls the camera down. It's that.
Yeah, it's, Gorillas of Destiny are just very interesting because you watch these guys and then you just think, like, this Tama Tonga guy's great and he needs to be a singles.
And then they put him in singles and you're like, this Tama Tonga guy needs to be in a tag team.
Yeah, but yeah, absolutely, that's exactly what happens. But I've found them to be, personally, so far in the tournament, just, I don't know, for whatever reason, more entertaining consistently than the other 3 teams that we just reviewed at the top. I mean, that's just not by wide margins or anything like that. I'm not saying they're having blowaway matches, but I've found them to be pretty interesting and entertaining so far in the tournament.
They have been entertaining, and they have Jado out there too with the
cheating,
causing the kendo stick, which I much prefer Jado being out there than having like Fale and Jay White like run out of nowhere and like break the match up. Like this is established. This is their second. He's coming all the matches. Like they're heels. It makes sense that the heel manager's there instead of just one of their stablemates just randomly running in and causing a DQ. And at least they're winning off the cheating this go around.
Yeah, yeah. At least they're winning. I mean, they've got all the gold in the tag division. You would think. But I mean, they have picked up 2 losses here. So they defeated Finjuice on day 3, and I thought that match was pretty good.
Yeah, that was a good match. Yeah, we'll talk about Juice and Finlay in a second, but yeah.
And then I stopped my watching during the Tenkozi match. I was right towards the end, and I did not finish it. And then I come to find out that Tenkozi beat them, and I'm like, dude, what?
I freaking popped when Kojima pinned, I think he pinned Tama Tonga.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Dude, I popped. I couldn't believe it. I was like I was so pumped for Kojima to pick up a win and get a win here over the tag champs.
And then I haven't seen the Suzuki and Iska match. I can only imagine.
Oh, bro,
that sounds like straight dumpster fire to me.
Dude, that's probably one of the worst matches of the tournament. Just brawling all over the place.
Sounds awful.
Dude, it's just. I think I gave it like half a star or like a quarter star, something ridiculous. Let me see. I gave it a quarter star.
And then day 8, spoiler alerts, the super strong team Cobb and Elkin defeated the tag team champions Gorilla of Destiny. I don't know if you saw this. Someone posted one of the translations and it said super steroid team.
Yes.
And I was like, that's a fitting name. Actually, that's mean. I shouldn't say that. I have no idea whether or not Jeff Cobb has done any steroids.
You on the gas?
You on the gas there, Dream? You're looking jacked. You notice I didn't say anything about Elgin. But yeah, so 3-2, 6 points. So they've taken 2 losses. Are you surprised, or what are you thinking?
I am kind of surprised at this point that I would expect them. They were in first place, tied first place for the first few days, and I was expecting them to kind of stay towards the top. I mean, they're still kind of in the top mix right now, but yeah, I'm a little surprised that they've in 2 losses, especially to a team like Tenkozi and a team like Cobb and Elgin, both those teams, you don't expect them to be getting title shots for different reasons. I mean, Tenkozy, obviously, they are on the latter end of their career, and you really don't expect them to be getting a title shot anytime soon. And then Cobb and Elgin, they're not a full-time team in New Japan, so you wouldn't expect them to be getting a title shot anytime soon.
Yeah, and again, I keep saying it, but like we'll talk about Cobb and Elgin, but without delving too deep into that, it doesn't seem to be so far like they're going to be. Obviously, we're starting at the top and going to the bottom. We haven't gotten to their names yet, so they're kind of not in this mix of upper teams so far in the tournament. Now it's a long term and things can change, but given the way that they've been booked and their position on the cards and things of that nature, it doesn't seem like this Cobb Elgin duo is getting the kind of shine and rub that they got last year.
Yeah, honestly, to me, it feels like it's like we had them last year. Like, let's just do it again. Screw it. Like,
the reason I bring that up though is because if I'm booking this tournament and everyone has to take losses, like probably at least I would say 3, most likely. I mean, you're gonna any team that goes 11-2. I mean, I can't even imagine that really. I think like at the very top, you're gonna get 10-3.
Yeah.
So for that to be the case, you got to have teams like GOD, your tag team champions, got to take losses. And what do? Do you have them lose to their contemporaries and set up future title shots, or do you have them take losses from teams like Tenkozy and part-timers like Cobb and Elgin who are at the bottom? Because at that point, yeah, they've got wins over the tag team champions, but they're not really in a position where they could capitalize and get a title a title challenge after this, especially since when the tournament's over, whoever wins the tournament is supposed to go to Wrestle Kingdom. So,
right.
I think that this is smart booking probably. And those are the types of teams that I would have beat them early on. That's not to say that like towards the end you might see a Best Friends or KES beat them and set themselves up for a future shot. I think that's still on the horizon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this makes sense to me. I mean, but at the same time, I'm still surprised it's Tenkozy and still kind of surprised by that.
Yeah. Another team that is tied with them for 6 points, 3-2, is Best Friends, Beretta and Chucky T. Day 4, they defeated Saber and Tai Chi. Day 5, they defeated Yoshida and Umino. Day 7, they were defeated by KES. And spoiler alert, Day 8, defeated by Suzuki and Iizuka.
Oh, God. So far from what I've seen, the 3 matches that I've seen of the Best Friends, they are my MVPs thus far in the tournament. Mm-hmm. They are just consistently putting on awesome matches. That match with Taichi and Zack Sabre is one of my top matches of the tournament so far.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of my second rated matches.
That match was freaking awesome.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, it was a really good match. And Best Friends, man, yeah, they've just been performing really well. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of hate for Chucky T, but again, that guy is so smooth in the ring, and he's a ring general. I mean, yeah, Beretta might have, like we mentioned before, like there's probably more promise with him maybe in the singles role, but I mean, Chucky T, man, he's the dude, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you on that even for a second. Yeah, they've been awesome. Their matches have been great. I like I said, big recommend the Saber Taichi match against Best Friends. I was so shocked at how good, not too shocked, but everybody was great in that match. I thought the Yoshida and Umino match was pretty good too. Yeah, I mean, Best Friends, they've been great.
Yeah. And then another team tied with 6 points, 3-2. Hangman Page and Yujiro Takahashi, Dick and Balls.
I got you saying it.
Day 4, they were defeated by LIJ. Day 6, they defeated Taichi and Sabre. Day 7, they defeated Yoshida and Umino. And Day 8, they defeated Makabe and Hanare.
I do remember really liking the LIJ match that they had on Day 4, and then Day 6 they wrestled Taichi and Sabre, and I'm trying to remember. I think that was okay.
Yeah, honestly, I was kind of surprised that they ended up beating Taichi and Sabre, because Page and Yujiro, they had a slow start so far in this tournament. They were eating a couple losses.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this thing, but then kind kind of making a comeback here, and I was surprised that they, Taichi and Saber was one of the teams they beat.
I mean, Page has just been tearing it up, and Yujiro's kind of been there with him playing his part, and I mean, they've been impressive.
Yeah, I remember liking the ending sequence of the Taichi and Saber match.
I did too, because Hangman Page was doing a hot tag basically, and he was like diving everywhere and doing like topes and stuff.
Yeah, and like the finishing sequence where like Taichi was trying to hit the last ride, and then like
that's right,
and they would flip it into like the rite of passage.
The rite of passage, yeah.
And eventually, like Yujiro ended up using the mic stand.
Yes.
On Taichi, or he hit Saber first, and then Hangman was able to get Taichi up in the rite of passage.
How about like LIJ? Well, since you bring that up, some of these guys have had to play different roles. Like Best Friends have played like underdog baby faces when they're against big teams, and then like when they were wrestling like Yoshida and Umino, they were like obviously the clear heels.
Yeah.
And then like Evil and Sonata have used quite a bit of heel tactics, like pulling refs out of the ring and distractions, things like that, which I know that they're kind of like a tweener sort of stable, but I mean it's a little more pronounced for a team that I've been a little surprised at how they've kind of flip-flopped from, wrestling face to wrestling heel in this tournament.
Yeah.
And then kind of the same thing with Hangman Page and Yujiro is what reminded me of that.
Yeah, I mean, the quote-unquote Bullet Club team has kind of been like that way sometimes, where you have some of those guys that they cheat more, even though they're supposed to be baby faces.
I mean, Yujiro's clearly like a heel. No matter what happens, like, this guy's always cheating, period.
Yeah, at day 7, I feel like he was really motivated when having Peta out there.
Oh, was she there?
Yes.
Man, everything I'm hearing about day 7 is more and more appealing. Like I gotta watch that as soon as we get done recording here.
Dude, the only thing that could have made day 7 better was having Kevin Kelly and Don Callis.
Oh man.
But yeah, Paige and Yujiro, they're kind of on the comeback right now. They had 3 wins in a row, so interesting to see how the rest of their tournament's going to be. Next up, also at 3-2 with 6 points, Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi. Day 4, they were defeated by the Best Friends. Day 6, defeated by Hangman Page and Yujiro. Day 7, they defeated LIJ.
Wow.
And day 8, they defeated Yoshida and Umino.
Huh. Well, I mean, I can't imagine a better way to bounce back from back-to-back losses than beating LIJ. So, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, the LIJ match for me is the match of the tournament, 4 stars. If you're cherry picking this thing, go out of your way to find that match.
The match with LIJ?
Yeah, on day 7. The story, I think that's one thing that really got me, was the story that they were able to pull with Evil and Saber. They kind of continued that story that they've been telling before the tournament. And for me, I honestly thought, man, all right, they're not doing the match at Wrestle Kingdom. Evil's going to get his win back here. And every time Evil went for the Everything is Evil, I'm like, oh, here it is. He's going to pin Saber. And Saber would keep reversing. And then eventually hit him with that Zack driver and pinned him again. I'm like, dude, Evil can just not beat this man.
Man, yeah, that's straight up in the style of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I would love to, check it out. Maybe give a tiny little taste, a little taste of a review next week once I've gotten a chance to see this night, because it looks awesome. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing with Zack is a guy who's been kind of on a part-time status with New Japan since last year when he first made his debut. Like, he'll show up for big shows. There might be a tour or two that he shows up on, but I mean, he's never been in the tag league. And this has been a pretty, like, we got him in the New Japan Cup, we got him in the G1, we're getting him in the World Tag League. And so we're getting a chance to, like, see a better body of work and resume for what he brings to the table. And I mean, Zack Sabre has done nothing but deliver in this role in this tournament. I know that I said that so far Best Friends are like my MVPs, but ZSJ and Taichi are like right there.
If they have more performances like they did with the LIJ match the rest of this tour, like they stand a chance of being MVPs for me.
And I kind of like it because Zack Sabre's kind of just a dick. And, like, he doesn't have to cheat to win or anything like that, but he rolls with dudes like Taichi. And so having a guy like Taichi who can, like, kind of be a heater for him and get more heat on them as a team.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool dynamic. It's just been, it does kind of remind me of, like, Ishii and Yano in a way.
Yeah. two different dynamics coming together.
Like one guy who's like very serious and can like kill you, and then you've got like the other guy who does the comedy shtick or whatever he brings to the table. I'm not saying that like I want to see ZSJ and Tai. I'm not here for Taichi and ZSJ for all times. Right. But in this tournament, I think it's been welcome, and I've been pleasantly surprised. So
you see the backstage promo of like Taichi saying, let's go get some vegetables, something like that.
I did see a clip of it. You know, I gotta tell you, I don't watch the backstage commentaries very often.
Honestly, I haven't been watching them as much either.
And I feel like that's going to be one of my New Year's resolutions for Keeping It Strong Style. Like, I'm going to dedicate myself to, like, making sure that I watch this crap. Like, because there's so much great storytelling that does take place with the backstage comments. And like last year when I watched this tournament, I watched all the backstage comments.
I think we both did. I remember, because a lot of times we would report on like what they were saying backstage, but I mean,
so I need to be catching that because I'm missing it. But yeah, definitely. These guys have been great, and they've been good. This LIJ team's been really good. I mean, I've been more impressed with them than KES.
Yeah. Another team that's at 3-2 with 6 points. Your pick to win the tournament, or not? Well, one of your pick you were high on.
They are not a pick that I was picking to win the tournament.
Well, a team you were high on.
No, you're putting words in my mouth now, Jeremy. Okay.
All right, a team you were high on that you were happy they were tournament leaders last week.
I don't think that I'm wrong. Look, they got 6 points. They're literally in the top half of the tournament. They're up there with such luminaries as LIJ, Killer Elite Squad.
No, LIJ is at 8 points.
The top half, Jeremy. The top half of the tournament. They're right up there with top luminaries like LIJ, Killer Elite Squad, the Best Friends, GOD. I mean, they're right up there, bro.
And clearly, if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm talking about Juice Robinson and David Finley. Finjuice on day 3, they were defeated by GOD. Day 5, they defeated Cobb and Elgin. Day 7, they defeated Makabe and Hanare. And today, on day 8, they were defeated by Ishii and Yano.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I think Cobb and Elgin was the match that you gave me a recommend on from them. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah, because you were like, you guys see Finjuice and Super Strong Team. And I watched that match, and I really dug it. I don't know. It, like, had this high octane. I'm not going to say it's as good as this match, so don't, like, bite my head off when I say this. But it had that match, the Super Strong Team on day 5 against Finjuice. For some reason, stylistically, it kind of reminded me of like the Steiner brothers against Lex and Sting from Super Brawl back in the 90s. It kind of just had that like high octane, big moves, big power moves, like kind of feel to it. And it kind of reminded me of that. And that's another match. Like I only have a few matches that I've got. Like for me so far, there's 4 matches that I've got like high recommends on, and 2 of them were last week that we already discussed, but from this week, I haven't seen day 7, but for me, it would be this match, the Finjuice against Cobb and Elgin, and then the match with, who was it? It was Taichi and Saber against Best Friends?
Yeah.
Yep, that match was awesome. So those are like my 2 recommends so far, and I haven't seen day 7 yet.
Yeah, but Juice and Finley, I mean, we kind of know their MO. I mean, they're a solid team, out of the tag league, and this is their first year being as a team in the tag league. I thought they've been having solid performances throughout the tournament. I mean, they've been looking good to me.
Well, I mean, they when I saw that they lost to GOD, I was like, oh man, here we go. I'm gonna look like such an idiot. These guys, and you know what? I could still end up looking that way because, I think I predicted that Juice was going to have a much better G1 than he actually did. Mm-hmm. But then when I like sat there and you look at the body of the field, like the B block, who he was in there with.
Yeah, dude, he got stuck in that killer block. Man.
Yeah. Like, what was he going to do?
Yeah.
And both of us were kind of like, well, he's the U.S. champion. He's got to do pretty good, right? No. And I think that that's kind of one of the reasons that you, in particular, that plus also his future date at Wrestle Kingdom, that you've kind of been like, well, look at who's in this tournament. I mean, how high can these guys go?
Right.
So I think you're kind of like in that mode, like, don't fool me again, because I already got fooled during the G1.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like in a mode where I'm like, well, this is the perfect place to redeem them. But now, like, they start taking some losses, and I was like, oh, Josh, you're such an idiot. Like, you're just a simple mark thinking that these guys are going to get pushed. But then...
To me, the real problem is David Finlay. Like, he's still a low-card guy, and he's, clearly the pin eater of that team. And he's just kind of low on the totem pole compared to a lot of the other guys on this tournament.
And I think that when this is all said and done, we're going to end somewhere in the middle. Maybe not quite as high as I thought, but maybe a little bit higher than you thought. Because bottom line is, if Juice is going to wrestle Cody, they got to heat him up.
Yeah.
They got to heat him up. And if they end up in the middle to top of the pack, that's going to do nothing but favors for Dave and probably be good for Juice. So that makes sense to me. And look at what they beat Super Strong Team. They beat Makabe and Hanare, and then they defeated Ishii and Yano, which that's a big win. That's a really, really big win, Ishii and Yano.
Yeah.
So we got day 8 hasn't dropped yet. I've only seen day 3 and day 5. How was Makabe and Hanare?
Makabe Hanare, that was a pretty good match. It's Hanare is like, well, we'll talk about them later, but Hanare is, Hanare's
been awesome.
He's the guy that's working the hardest on that team. The stuff with, Hanare and Finlay, they're playing up that rivalry, and Finlay got the win on Hanare.
Okay.
So that continuing that story over the C block kind of stuff. That was a solid match as well.
Juice and Finlay have had no bad matches so far.
Yeah.
So they've been very good.
Yeah, everything's been 3 stars or higher.
And then that's going to take us to the bottom half of this tournament, and you can't talk about the bottom half of a tournament like this without talking about Minoru Suzuki and Takashi Iizuka.
Yeah, they're at 2 wins, 3 losses, 4 points. Day 3, they were defeated by Ishii and Yano. Day 5, they defeated Nagata and Nakanishi. Day 7, they were defeated by GOD. And today's show on day 8, they were defeated by Best Friends.
Well, that's good.
They defeated Best Friends, not defeated by Best Friends.
They beat the Best Friends.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really have much to talk about when it comes to this team.
We got a question in, and luckily, and he got it in just in time from our buddy Maserati on Reddit. He says, you guys got a lot of heat for criticism against the New Japan dads, but for me, the cutoff is at Iizuka. Him, to Nakanishi, and Tenzan are just awful. Would you agree that Iizuka is better than those two?
Iizuka is better?
Yeah, he's saying that Iizuka is better. Do we agree that Iizuka is better than Nakanishi and Tenzan?
No, because at no point in his career was he better than them, and in their old age, he's not better than them. So no. I think he's the most limited worker. He's so long tenured with the company.
Dude, for me, Iizuka's the worst.
Iizuka's the worst guy in the company.
I hate the biting. I hate the iron glove, iron fingers, whatever you want to call them. The rope choking, it's just...
I don't think it's worth, burying the guy over. We know what it is at this point and all that. But, to answer your question, is he worse than... Or is Nagata... is Tenzan and Nakanishi worse than him? No. He's the worst. He is the worst.
Yeah.
And, these matches, I'll say this. I don't think I've seen a single match of theirs that I really enjoyed. At the same time, Suzuki and Iizuka, to a lesser extent, they're smart workers. They've been in this industry a long time. They know what they need to do to get to entertain the crowd and have their match and get out of there. So if you grade on a curve, they're doing okay. They're having their match. It's just, it's not my cup of tea. There's nothing that I've seen of them that I enjoy. Most of their matches typically do hit a certain crescendo that's exciting at the very, very end, whether that be shenanigans with the claw or whatever. And so you could probably look at the end of a match and be happy with the way it ended. But the matches, the vast majority of the body of them is just it sucks.
Out of these last few nights, day 3 is probably the best match they had with the Ishii and Suzuki stuff.
Yeah.
Clearly, we haven't seen the best friends match yet. Well, that'll drop tomorrow.
The Nagata Nakanishi match was rough.
Oh yeah, it was
really rough.
That was awful.
And you said the God match might have been worse.
Yeah, the God match.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was, dude. Yeah, it just.
But I mean, you know what you're getting when you get these guys, so it's like it's not worth us like we're not saying something revolutionary, being like, "Yo, hot take alert." You know, Suzuki and Iska are awful. Like I sat through a whole year of watching them. You know, I will say this though. If you guys want to like know about the dedication that me and Jeremy put into the show, we are watching Iska. We were watching Iska and Suzuki for you guys. I feel like a New Japan martyr at this point. Like, my God.
Oh my gosh.
Because I feel like it's a disservice if we don't actually do it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know why I feel so like dedicated to you people. And you know what I mean when I say
you people. It's code.
It's code.
But yeah, they are what they are. Another team that's tied with them with 4 points, 2 wins, 3 losses. Michael Elgin and Jeff Cobb. Day 3, they were defeated by KES. Day 5, they were defeated by Finjuice. Day 7, they defeated Tenkozy. And on day 8, the show that aired today, they defeated GOD.
This is my disappointing team of the tournament.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, Elgin and Cobb are 2 guys. They're excellent in singles action. They're
excellent.
They have high caliber matches, you know, all throughout the year, different promotions.
They're excellent.
Like on paper, like Cobb and Elgin together should be like a 4-star machine.
And bro, last year they were having really good. Now, granted, I just gave a recommend to that Finjuice match. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like. The problem is what I've said before is that I mentioned how last year they felt disconjointed. They feel way more disconjointed. They just feel like 2 guys who happen to be wrestling on the same like team, but they do not feel like a tag team. And even if they put together like a cool, because they did do like some sort of backcracker move.
Yeah, they do. Well, first they do the like the basket toss backbreaker thing, and they do the Cobb will powerbomb a powerbomb backstabber at the same time.
Yeah, that's cool. And I mean then they have the general stuff that they do, but the bottom line is, as great as all that is, and it's well and good, Michael Elgin and Jeff Cobb are 2 of the premier athletes and premier wrestlers in the country and in the world internationally, whatever level you want to talk about. They should be at the tip top of this tournament. And the fact that I'm talking about Finjuice being a better team than them, and the fact that I'm talking about, you know, Zack Sabre and Taichi putting on better matches than them, and KES being more consistent, that's a shame. That's a shame. And I think that, you know, they might still have time to turn it around or whatever, but for whatever reason, like they're not like doing good business together. I did have a thought though, because they are 2 and 3, and it seems like they're not being like. Could maybe hypothetically, do you think New Japan could be setting these guys up for like a future program with each other coming out of this tournament?
Maybe.
I wish I was watching the backstage promos and I could tell you if I'm getting a vibe for that or not.
Yeah.
Like it's more conjecture, but I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe they know there's heat there and they're just gonna play off of it. You know?
Maybe, yeah.
But I mean, they've taken 3 losses, and that's, I mean, in this tournament, you gotta probably figure that they need 8 to 10 points to win it.
Right.
And
so
like,
pretty much they can't lose any more matches.
They're not far from being like eliminated, and last year they were like right towards until the end. I mean, they ended up with 8 points. It was a smaller field, so I mean, 8 points in a smaller block was like they were winning a lot.
Right, they were on top of the
So I mean, I'm very surprised to a degree, and I'm more surprised. Not only am I surprised about the booking, I'm surprised just the quality of
the match performance. Yeah,
even like that Finjuice match could have been better.
It could have been better, yeah.
But it just generally as a tag team, like I just don't get a vibe that like this is like a great tag team or whatever. Yeah. It's just like 2 guys like maybe they don't want to work together. I don't
know. Well, you know, there was that heat that we talked about from last year. So yeah. In New Japan, like we saw the booking for this tournament, they just threw teams that they did last year. So They're like, whatever, Cobb and Elgin, like, just come on board.
They don't even coordinate their outfits half the time.
Yeah.
It pissed me off.
Yeah, Elgin's just wearing like random stuff.
Yeah.
Cobb's like pulling out like the blue singlet. Like, yeah, they're all over the place. Another team that's also tied with these guys at 4 points, 2 wins, 3 losses. Tenzan, Kojima, Tenkozy. Day 5, they defeated Yoshida and Umino. Day 6, they defeated GOD. Day 7, they were defeated by Elgin and Cobb. And on today's show, Day 8, they were defeated by LIJ. So, what are you thinking about the New Japan dads here, Tenzan, Kojima?
They've been good. You know what? I'm going to give a little bit of praise to Tenzan because he's been moving pretty good.
He has been, yeah.
And the only reason I'm noticing it is because of all the stuff that like has gone on with this show and, you know, over the past few weeks and some of the criticisms I've had. And then I've noticed in some of these matches that he's working really hard and he is putting in an effort. So, and I've been like, you know what, Tenzan's moving pretty good. Now, how good is he moving? I don't know. I'm driving down like I-275 and I'm only paying half attention. Eyes on the road, you know. But no, I mean they've been fine. I mean, you know, when everything's said and done, this is probably the greatest tag team in the history of New Japan Pro Wrestling, especially domestically speaking.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, of course you're gonna give them wins and they're gonna always be impressive to some degree. I mean, I don't think that they've been more impressive than years past or anything like that. I'm happy to watch them come out and do their thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
For what it is.
The young boy match against Yoshida and Umino was a pretty solid match because, you know, those guys are just working so hard to, you know, get noticed. And
I love to watch the New Japan dads kill those young lions.
That was good. The GOD, you know, I mentioned I popped big for Kojima getting the pin in that match.
I liked when Tamatonga tried to headbutt Tenzan.
Yeah,
and he
failed.
And
yeah,
he's like, I find almost nothing more entertaining than Tamatonga squealing like a girl.
Oh my, it's great. The Elgin and Cobb match, there were quite a few botches in that match. A lot of stuff with like Elgin and Cobb trying to pick up some of these guys, like it didn't quite work out the way they want to a lot of times, and some of their moves were botched, but you know, it was what it was. But yeah, overall, you know, Tenzan, Kojima, they're a team that I expect them to pick up a few more surprise, quote unquote surprise wins the rest of this tour.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the real bottom of this list, we got two teams tied at 2 points, 1 and 4. We have Togi Makabe and Toa Hanare. Day 3, they were defeated by Nakanishi and Nagata. Day 5, defeated by LIJ. Day 7, defeated by Finjuice. Day 8, they were defeated by... I got that wrong. I have them defeated.
You have it saying that they were defeated by Makabe and Hanare.
They defeated themselves,
which is true. Which is probably true in a sense. They were defeated by themselves.
Hold on, let me see if I can get
before any of these matches began, because that's where the war really starts. No, I have been so impressed with Toa Hanare. Togi Makabe, it's kind of funny. He's like just the guy that's there, whereas last year it was all about like Makabe, and like Hanare just kind of came off as like a geek, and now like Hanare is like the highlight of these matches.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, like I mentioned earlier, kind of doing all the heavy lifting.
I like the stuff with him, and I liked the LIJ match quite a bit, and I liked the stuff between him and Evil in that match.
So they were defeated by Hangman and Yujiro.
Oh, by Dick and Balls.
Yes.
Wow, man. Okay. So, you know, I mean, last year they only got 1 win, 2 points. So, I mean, they're already right where they were last year, and it's early in the tournament, so they're definitely going to do better than they did the year before. I mean, this is right where I thought these guys would pretty much be. I mean, I don't have much more to say than that. I think Toa Hanare is very impressive.
Yeah. Then the other team that's 1-4 is Yuji Nagata and Manabu Nakanishi. On day 3, they were defeated by Makabe and Hanare. Day 5, they were defeated by Suzuki and Isuka. Day 7, defeated by Ishii and Yano. And day 8, they were defeated by Killer Elite Squad. So they've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, the first victory they picked up was against Tenkozi. I don't know. I haven't really been too impressed with Nagata and Nakanishi in this tournament, and I love Nagata. I don't think I've seen any performance where I've been like...
Yeah, if you're cherry picking, like, none of their matches are, like, go out of your way to watch.
Thus far, I've been more impressed with the Tenkoji matches than the, Blue Justice Monster Morning matches. So
yeah.
And then at the bottom of the list, we've got Yoshida and Umino sitting at 0-5, which is pretty much to be expected. They're the Young Lion team, but they lost to Tenkozi, they lost to Best Friends, Hangman and Yujiro, and then Saber and Taichi. What have you thought, though, seeing these two guys so far?
These guys, they are busting their ass every night. They're, trying their best to, make the most of this opportunity and, get some shine. They're doing great. Umino and Yoshida, these are obviously two of the top guys in the Young Lion class right now, and it's showing why.
You want my take?
What?
I was way more impressed with the matches involving Tsuji and Yumura as a tag team than what we've seen out of Yoshida and Umino. I don't think I've ever really been as high on Umino as everyone else has been, though, personally speaking. But I don't want to sit here and disparage them. I'm just saying, like, those are two guys with much less experience that I'm more impressed by when I watch them.
Yeah.
But I mean, for what you would expect out of Yoshida and Umino in this tournament, as far as the mechanics, as far as stories go, and as far as, like, I did like the Best Friends match actually quite a bit. I thought the stuff with them and Chucky T and Trent was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they've been doing well. This is a great learning experience for them, and I mean, I haven't been blown away or anything, but I mean, it's been good.
Yeah, I mean, they're working really hard.
Last year I wanted that Haas team. I wanted Hanare and
Oka.
No, Kitamura.
Oh, Hanare and Kitamura.
Yeah, and I wanted them to job.
I thought you wanted Oka and I thought for sure one of the guys you wanted was Oka.
I did want Oka, but Hanare was already in the tournament, so it was I wanted it to be Hanare and Kitamura. But I'm more prone to, like, the Haas teams, but Yoshida and Umino are fine here. I mean, have you been very impressed, or? I
mean, I think it's working really hard. I mean, they haven't had any, like, blow-away matches. I mean, nothing they've done has been 4 stars or anything, but I think they're working really hard. I mean, a lot of their matches are typically pretty short, but with the time they have, I mean, they're trying to, get their stuff in and be impressive, and I think they've been working really hard. I think they did a good job.
So with the World Tag League, because that's going to do it for the, for our team recap, is there anything on the horizon that you're looking forward to, or, any final thoughts you got,
Well, I don't have, like, the upcoming matches, so I'm not sure what's coming up in the for the rest of the tournament. But I'm keeping an eye out on Saber and Taichi to see if they continue to impress. Keeping an eye out for LIJ. They've been pretty solid in the team. Also keeping an eye out for Best Friends to see if they can maintain their MVP status for us.
So between now and next week, we've got shows coming up on Monday, December 3rd, Sunday, December 2nd, Friday, November 30th, and then Thursday, November 29th. And Wednesday, November 28th. Man, this month is just flying by.
Yeah.
So we got another, 5 nights coming up here. So let's just see some of these matches. So November 28th, let's see. Well, you got LIJ and the Young Lions team. You've got... did this already happen?
Nope. If it's the 28th, that has not happened.
Okay, so you got GOD taking on KES. That's one to look out for. They had a really good match last year.
Ishii and Yano against Hangman and Yujiro could be one to look out for.
Yep, super strong team taking on Hanare and Makabe. Finjuice against Isuka and Suzuki. Tenkoji against Best Friends. Nakanishi and Nagata against Taichi and Zack Sabre. And LIJ. So, I mean, this lineup doesn't really, like, knock my socks off or anything like that so far. But, I mean, you know, we got to get through it, obviously. So, I mean, everyone's going to face everybody. Taking a look at November 29th. And, dude, we're almost done with November. Like, we got to pick a
match of the month and wrestle of the month, yeah.
Super strong team again, the Young Lions, which I'm very good at. Nakanishi and Nagata against Finjuice. Tenkoji against KES. Just looking. We've actually gotten a lot of the better matches already.
Yeah.
Here's one on November 30th that I think a lot of people are interested in is Minoru Suzuki and Isuka against Taichi and Zack Sabre.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the Key and Sabre.
And on that same night, you get the Chaos team of Ishii and Yano against LIJ, which...
That could be really good, and that's in the semi-main that night, so... I think that's good.
They're going to get time. It's going to be good. That's actually the 29th. I'm sorry. The 30th, let's see here. Anything, just kind of taking a look over it. Well, on the 29th, you have KES against Taichi and Zack Sabre, and that's going to kind of finish up the LIJ matches. Or the Suzuki game.
Yeah.
That one's interesting. I think Jeff Cobb and Michael Elgin against Ishii and Yano has barn burner written all over it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the interactions between Ishii and Elgin and Ishii and Cobb should be great.
And then the main event, Sonata and Evil against GOD, which is a rematch of the finals from last year.
Yeah, that should be good. Yeah.
So there's like quite a few like little things to look out for. And then once we get to December, so next Sunday night, KES is going to murder the Young Lions. Just kind of taking a look over here. Super strong team against Best Friends should be really good. And GOD against Taichi and Zack Sabre in the main event. Which is not a match that I don't think I would ever be like excited for, but this tournament has done a good job. I mean, bro, they've done it twice with man, they just keep putting Zack Sabre over like all year. Like, man, it's been awesome.
Dude, he's been the tournament king this year.
Yeah, he has been. And then next Monday night, which I don't know if we'll have watched it by the time we record, but like I don't know if we'll have it. We probably won't have watched it by the time we record, but just taking a look over here. Well, you got Finjuice against KES. That looks interesting. Super strong team against Taichi and Zack Sabre. Best Friends against
LIJ in the semi-main of that night. Oh, man.
That's going to be awesome. Also, Makabe and Hanare against Toro, Yano, and Ishii would probably be good. So, I mean, there's quite a few nights to, like, really stick your teeth in. So, we're getting to the meat and potatoes of this tournament, basically, at this point.
Yeah. So that's your World Tag League update for this week. Stay tuned for more updates in next week's episode. But we're going to knock out the rest of these questions and then get into the news. So this is more of a statement from Reddit user Kamputa. He says, all hail the 2.5-man commentary team of Kevin Kelly, Don Callis, and Chris Charlton. He says, honestly, I can't wait for the last 4 shows when they produce shows of commentary that are actually presentable. Also, I truly believe Naito, Okada, Jay White could have been shoehorned in this tournament. New Japan dads just aren't believable in their efforts. So any thoughts on Naito, Okada, and Jay White being in this tournament?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. They definitely could have done that, especially because they haven't even announced the Ishii and Zack Sabre match for Wrestle Kingdom yet. I mean, we got the tease for it at the Rev Pro show, but it's not been made official. They're not going to make it official until
the tournament's
over. Now, Okada and Jay White. No, you know what? Actually, I take it back. I don't think, given the style booking that they do in New Japan, that they would do that at this point, because they've already announced Naito against Chris Jericho. They've already announced Okada and Jay White. And that's kind of the reason we don't have Kenny or Tanahashi in this tournament either.
Right. Clearly, because the whole point of this tournament is to put a tag team on Wrestle Kingdom. So clearly these guys all have matches already. So
now I do want to say this. Yes, could there be a criticism that the New Japan dads are not believable in their efforts? Like, I guess one way I would interpret that, is it realistic to think that they're going to get a tag title match at
Wrestle
Kingdom?
No.
But neither is Hanare and Makabe, and neither is
Saber and Taichi.
Any number of teams that are here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's never been my criticism of the New Japan Dad. So I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment personally. I would like for there to be bigger names in this tournament like there has been in the past, just out of pure selfishness.
Right.
Because, who doesn't want to see Naito and Jay White and Okada tag in this tournament? That'd be great, but realistically, given the fact that they already have matches, they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Also, I'm right there with you. Kevin Kelly, Don Callis, and Chris Charlton, they're like an awesome team.
Yeah. Next, Reddit user Blue3 says, rank the current Young Lions from least to most potential.
Did you see that Kenomitsu was working ringside on this tour?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
I wonder if he's going to come back or not. I mean, there's been rumors. I don't know. Probably not, but... Okay, so...
So who are the current...
Who are the Young Lions?
So we have... There's Umino. Yagi.
No, he's
gone.
He's gone.
He's gone, yeah. Tsuji.
Yumura. Are we going to talk about Oka and Kawato or no? Because they're on an excursion.
Yeah. Because technically they're not going to be Young Lions when they come back.
I don't know if you consider them for this. I mean,
yeah. Are we going to count Yoshida?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, let's throw them in there.
Okay.
Yoshida. Narita. Is that everybody?
I think so, right? Because Yagi's gone, Kitamura's gone, Oka's on excursion, Kawato's on excursion.
Yo, your handwriting is awful, bro.
I know.
Bro, I've never seen you write. I literally cannot. I don't know what you just wrote. Does that say Tesla? Oh, man. What is that?
Suji.
Oh, that's Suji? Oh, my God. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could only see the abomination of desolation.
That's why I normally type stuff.
Okay, so you've got...
Umino, Tsuji, Yumura, Yoshida, and Narita.
Are we missing anyone else? Well, because Oka's on excursion.
Oka's gone, Kawato's gone. Yagi's gone, Kitamura's gone.
Jeez.
That's it.
Okay. And so the question is least to most potential. That's a very open-ended question because when you say least to most potential, I mean, what kind of criteria are we really... Now that you've asked the question, thank you for the question, but you've left it open to the devices of me and Jeremy, and we're going to have to bring some definition. So what do you think you want to write this based on? 'Cause I think there's a big difference between like talent and star potential, or what?
To me, I feel like he's talking about star potential. Like, who's going to be the biggest star out of this group?
Man, you just never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I can easily sit here and rate who I like the best,
right,
and who I think are the best workers or things like that. But then you look at so many guys that end up being big stars in New Japan that were awful when they're in the Young Lions system, and so many guys that were great as Young Lions that never amount to anything. So it's a crapshoot, really. But I mean, if we're gonna this current crop of Young Lions are just incredible.
Yeah.
Like, they're incredible. Oh, man. I mean, off the top of my head, the one guy that when I see him wrestle more than anybody else, I just see star potential. I don't know how high the ceiling is for him, but for me, it's going to be Tsuji.
Yeah.
I don't know why. So I'll give my rating first, and you can kind of, I guess, give yours. So I would go Tsuji.
As your most.
Yep. I would go Tsuji.
So...
Number 2, let's go. I'm gonna go Yoshida.
Okay.
Just because the attribute, I don't even really like Yoshida that much, but just I could see how they can make money with a kid like that. Number 3, I'm gonna go Narita. I think he's underrated guy. And then number 4, I'm gonna go Amino. And then number 5, I'm going to go Yumura.
Okay. So for me, most potential, I also agree with you on Tsuji. I think he's going to be, a big heavyweight star. He has the potential to be a big heavyweight star. For me, next, I'm going to go Umino. Just because he is pushed as the ace of the young boys.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, and I could see him going on excursion next year.
Do you want to know the main reason that I kind of underrate Umino a bit? He's small.
Yeah.
They don't really state it, or it's not a highlighted thing, but he's not a big guy, and it seems like they're gonna push him as a heavyweight when I think in reality he doesn't have a heavyweight frame. I think he should be a junior, but he carries the weight of a heavyweight on a junior frame. So I wonder about that. For instance, they're never gonna push. Well, maybe they will one day, but they've talked about Sho going up. Sho's small. Umino's small too, dude, and he's nowhere near.
He's not jacked like Sho is.
Exactly. So that's the one reason where I'm sometimes I think Umino gets pushed out of nepotism a bit.
Because of red shoes.
That's not to say he's not a talented guy. I know there's someone out there that loves Umino right now, and they're freaking out that I just said that already, and they're like, these guys are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. But I do feel he has great qualities. He's a fiery guy, and he brings a lot to the table. But I don't think he can do anything better than Narita, or better than Yagi did, or better than Kawato, or better than Oka. I never thought he was I always thought he was the worst out of those 5 guys.
Yeah.
And I think he does get pushed because of his family standing. So I don't know. They might push him to be a star, but I don't know, man. Sometimes I think he might be like Yoshihashi or something. I'm not high on Umino. I don't know.
The next for me after Umino, I would go Yoshida. Clearly, they brought him in from K-Dojo. They're clearly a guy they want to mold and work on. He's kind of in that in-between, not young lion, not quite low card. He's a mix, not...
And I'm not high on him, but...
I'm not high on him either.
But the reason I pick him is because he's tall. He's got the Okada look.
Right, he does, yeah.
And that's why I'm I can see them making money with him in a way where they won't with Umino, because he's got the matinee idol looks or whatever.
Yeah. And then second to last, I'll go with Narita. Don't get me wrong, I love Narita. He's a great in-ring worker, but to me, I don't think they see Narita as high as we see him.
Right.
Based on the way he's booked and what they've done with him, and just the way his facial...
It feels like he's got a long road ahead of him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's the best worker out of everyone in the group.
Yeah.
We've had people, disagree with me, and that's fine. Obviously, I think he could really improve. The reason I don't have him very high either is because we don't know what kind of character work he's going to have. We don't know what kind of charisma he's going to bring to the table.
Right.
We just know what... And Umura's kind of the same way for me too. That's why I think that's why we both got him at the bottom.
Right. I mean, Umura, he's a solid worker.
He's a great worker.
Yeah, but once again, he is kind of small. Not sure what kind of gimmick he's gonna get, what kind of charisma.
The other thing too is you might say oh well, they rated you more at the bottom. It's someone's got to be at the bottom. I mean, all 5 of these guys are incredible.
Right, we can't do
how can I make you more and be better than everybody? It's really hard. This is a difficult question.
And everybody knows me. I'm a mark for amateur wrestlers, so I love Umura.
Umura's a really good wrestler. Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you, A-Blue3, for that question. Next...
Muzza with the fire question this week. I want to read this one.
All right, go for it.
Push one. Send one out on excursion, and fire one. Yoshihashi, David Finlay, and Toa Hinare. And, this is easy, man. You're gonna push Toa Hinare. No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna push Dave Finlay. I'm gonna send Toa Hinare out on excursion. No, you know what? Flip-flop that. Let's push Toa Hinare. Oh, that's a tough one, actually. Who do you send on the excursion?
So for me, I'm sending David Finlay on excursion.
And having him come back. Yeah.
With a new gimmick.
I agree.
And then I'm pushing Toa Hinare because he kind of has a gimmick, and he's really good right now.
And then I'm gonna fire Yoshihashi.
Yoshihashi, you're fired.
You're fired. Absolutely. So Toa Henare, push. David Finlay, excursion. Yoshihashi, fired. It's not even
you already know that all the Yoshihashi fans out there gonna come at us for firing him.
And you know what? Oddly enough, this is my KMF rating for these three guys too. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yo. Anyways.
Speaking of KMF, we have Reddit user Senpai Got Laid.
That's funny.
He asked us your thoughts on Kawato-san and where he might fit in after excursion, like in which stable and what role.
Before Kawato left, I always saw Kawato as being like the heir apparent when he comes back to, like, say, Kushida. Like, I've always just seen him as being a junior ace. I don't know if that will be the case or not, but Kawato is very impressive to me. I obviously, there's been some troubling, reports about his time in CMLL. But a lot of guys have had trouble down there before and come back and been fantastic stars. So, I mean, I take it with a grain of salt. Plus, I don't watch that product intensely. But I've always thought Kawato, for instance, people are going to think I'm burying Umino. And, like, I'm really not, because Umino is great. Like, but Umino's in the role that Kawato was in. And Kawato always came off to me as, like, wow, this guy is something incredible. And, like, Umino comes off to me as, like, wow, this is a guy who's really improved and gotten better over the past year. But I've never seen him at Kawato's level.
Right. To me, I think there's a possibility maybe if he's in a stable, I could see him winding up in LIJ.
A lot of people say that.
Especially now.
You kind of hope that's where he ends up.
Right. Well, here's the thing. So, I mean, it's clear that eventually Shingo has to move up to heavyweight. So if you move Shingo up to heavyweight, you can tag Bushi and Kawato together.
I don't know where you put him. I mean, LIJ's like, that's the hot stable. I mean, anyone who goes to LIJ is going to be over, and they're going to, like, they're going to be a star. Yeah. So, yeah, if he goes to LIJ, he's going to be a star. I mean, he went to Mexico, so, I mean, it's the obvious. He was in Mexico. He was in CMLL.
Yeah.
Put him in LIJ. That makes, like, sense to me. I think it's a little basic, though, kind of like contrived thing.
Right.
But then at the same time, I'm like, I don't think I want to put him in Chaos. I definitely don't want to put him in the Bullet Club.
I could see him being, like, mentored by Tanahashi. You know how Tanahashi's been kind of reaching out to different people,
yeah,
and kind of trying to get them under his wing?
Well, him and Tanahashi, like, teamed together quite a bit, and, like, he kind of was mentored by Tanahashi before he left.
So I could see him, like, tagging with Tanahashi coming back.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping, like, maybe the stables get shook up more than they were this past year, and when he comes back, there's a different group altogether that he could be part of. That, I mean, the only other group that I'm, like, not saying he should be part of it, but I mean, you could always hypothetically put him in Suzuki-gun.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not great at this sort. I see these types of posts pop up on the Reddit all the time about, like, where guys from should go to excursions, or when they come back from excursions, which team they should be part of, or faction, like, shifts and stuff. And I never think like that. Like, I'm never like, we should switch some of these factions around. Here's how I would do it. I never think like, I don't know. My brain doesn't work that way. Like, it's too much work for me. Like, I'm having trouble, like, putting Kawato in a, I mean, LIJ is probably the best case scenario. And then I'd say Suzuki-gun's, like, second place.
Yeah.
And then third, obviously, Taguchi Japan. So,
yeah, or can you not be in a stable at all and just...
Bro, why'd you no-sell that?
What, be?
Anyways, yeah. Yeah, no, he might not have to be in a stable. I mean, you're absolutely right.
Next question comes from Dots218. What happens if the champion wins the G1? So in a scenario, if the champion wins the G1 climax, don't they choose their own challenger, right?
It's never happened. Well, okay, so the champion has won the G1 in the past. Kensuke Sasaki did it, as well as Keiji Muto in 95. So yes, it's happened before, but the thing that they have now, where if you win the G1, you go to, Wrestle Kingdom and, headline the January 4th Dome show, that, like, didn't always exist. So that was never the reason originally for the G1. So with that being the case, since they started doing the briefcase and they started doing the title shot and all that, that's never occurred. So we don't really know what would happen. I assume that would be like some of the other tournaments, like when, for instance, Roppongi 3K won the Junior Tag League. Then they can kind of maybe hypothetically dictate their own title match.
Yeah.
Or it could just open up the potential for a different avenue of storytelling where they don't have to rely on someone carrying around a briefcase for, from August to January.
Right.
But we don't really know. I mean, they've never spelled it out before because I don't think they're going to book that to actually happen, and if they did, I think they'd probably make a bigger deal about what's going to happen. So we don't know, but...
Next question comes from Reddit user ZMR Zobakis. He says, I know New Japan has shows on the American West Coast, but do you know if it has any presence in Florida, particularly Central Florida and or New York? Merchandise, meet and greet, smaller shows, etc. What about CMLL? Are there any noteworthy local wrestling promotions / shows that take place in Central Florida? Thanks.
Okay.
Well, we're located in Tampa, Florida, and
all the way from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome.
In Florida, there's not really any kind of New Japan presence. I mean, the closest thing we got was the CEO Cross New Japan show in Daytona. New Japan, their East Coast presence is mainly with Ring of Honor shows. The Global Wars, War of the Worlds, they work the East Coast for those tours. We saw Kenny here in Lakeland for a Ring of Honor taping. But outside of that, New Japan's really not in the East Coast. They will be in New York in April for Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, CMLL is a Mexican-based company. They run Arena Mexico every Friday night, and they do shows in Mexico. New Japan does shows almost exclusively in Japan. Yes, they do. They've run a few dates over the past few years in California, but they're kind of treating that like a regional sort of situation. The fact that we did get that CEO show, it wasn't really, it was technically a New Japan show. It really wasn't
really
a New Japan show. That
was all because of Kenny.
It was a Kenny Produce show.
Yeah.
So if you live in Central Florida, just to answer your question, and you're wondering about seeing an international product like CMLL or like New Japan, it's probably not going to happen. Right. If you are in Central Florida, though, and we could talk extensively about the companies that run out there. There's a lot of wrestling, but
yeah,
the big companies, MLW runs Orlando.
Right. Your best chance of seeing CMLL guys is go to like an MLW. They got Pentagon and Phoenix. They're bringing in Rouge, LA Park, El Hijo to LA Park. MLW. They're starting a Spanish YouTube channel. They're tapping into that Spanish market, and they're featuring a lot of luchadors. You got the big feud right now with Selena De La Renta and her faction of luchadors going against Conan and his faction of luchadors. So you'll see a lot of CMLL guys there.
So yeah, Major League Wrestling runs out of Orlando. That's a well-known one. And then Ring of Honor tours Florida pretty regularly, semi-regularly. They're here maybe 3 times a year, maybe more than that. If you want to see some of the New Japan talent or, the Elite or, Best Friends, guys like this, that would be your other best bet. And then beyond that, there's a lot of, you're not going to see other than those 2 companies, you're probably not going to see a lot of major wrestling in Central Florida. It's going to be a lot of independent promotions.
Yeah,
things
Florida,
like that.
Yeah. We don't really have many super indies here in Florida. It's a lot of
well, here in Tampa, we got WWN, so we get the Shine shows and Evolve, and so if you're willing to make a drive down to Tampa and have a drink with the Keepin It Strong Style boys, then yeah.
Yeah. Next question comes from our buddy Kyle Morris. He says, "What happens to Chase and Yujiro once the Elite guys all leave?"
If they leave.
Yeah.
That's the real question, is if they leave New Japan. And I gotta tell you, I am finally at a point where I don't think they're leaving. It's taken a year. We've been doing this show a year, and I've been very, 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 very much so believing that they were gonna leave. And we'll talk about, in the news here, we'll talk about why more so, but I don't think they're leaving.
Yeah, so let's jump into it right now. All Elite Wrestling has been all in wrestling news this week, and it's come out that, trademarks have been filed for AEW, All Elite Wrestling, All Out, Double or Nothing, AEW Double or Nothing, and Tuesday Night Dynamite. And all of these registered to the Jacksonville Jaguars football team. And that story came out a few weeks ago with a potential that the Jacksonville Jaguars owner's son, Tony Khan, being involved in JR and Jericho. Well, the JR and Jericho thing has not been proven to be true, but clearly now with all these trademarks, elite trademarks being registered with Jacksonville Jaguars, there's some foot to that story. And Double or Nothing is the name, the proposed name for the second All In show that's supposed to be happening in 2019. So the fact that Cody and the Young Bucks are having their having somebody trademark these things, there's some pretty serious plans for this All Elite Wrestling promotion.
Yeah. So I mean, there's been some really excellent coverage of this. Obviously, your go-to source for coverage when it comes to this is going to be Wrestling Observer Radio. They're the ones who are kind of talking,
Yeah, this past week's Observer, there's a full little write-up on the whole details on All Elite Wrestling, more about Tony Khan and the Khan family and the Elite group sticking together. And the thing I'm hearing about Khan, he's been an Observer subscriber since he was a teenager. He's even sent in live reports to Dave. So this is clearly a guy who's been a fan of professional wrestling and kind of understands the business side of things. So
we've spent the majority of the show talking about World Tag League, and when in actuality this All Elite Wrestling news story that's broken is the biggest story of the week.
Yeah.
And there are some major implications of how this is affecting business across the world. Tons of things are just coming. It's crazy. It's a crazy time in the in the wrestling industry right now. But so we'll talk a little bit more about All Elite Wrestling. But to answer your question directly, Kyle, obviously, with the news that there is a potential company on the rise, that Kenny, the Bucks, and Cody and all these guys might be forming, there is the speculation, will they be leaving? And then if they do leave, how does that affect, Chase and Yujiro? I think that if they end up leaving, then Chase and Yujiro end up kind of being like two guys who were part of a stable who have established characters, and they'll either have to switch characters and join a different group or just kind of be those leftover remnants of something that once was.
Right. I mean, they could end up just joining the Bullet Club again.
Yeah. Hypothetically, you could potentially do that. I don't know if they would, though.
New Year's Dash, have Chase and Yujiro turn their backs on.
It's not really. Yeah. I mean, you could. I don't think that's a great, I don't know. New Year's Dash, they usually do really good storylines, and I'm like, it's not. I mean, it's Chase and Yujiro. How shocked. It's not exactly Kenny Omega one-winged angeling AJ Styles.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't think. Yeah, what happens to them? I mean, there's 3 or 4 different ways they could go with it. It's not that crazy to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I've seen a lot of people be like, well, "What do they do with Chase and Yujiro?" And it's like, I don't know. Keep them teamed up, change their gimmicks, repackage them, have them rejoin the Bull Club. I mean, who knows? You know what I mean?
I don't think they're dead in the water.
They're not. They got a million options what they could do with them.
They'll be fine without the Elite guys.
Especially Chase. Chase will probably be better off if they were to leave. Then that could free him up to actually not be known as the fall guy of the Bullet Club.
Yeah. Yeah, he could be a guy should they push for the Western expansion.
But to talk a little bit more about All Elite Wrestling, we got our final question from Brian Kinsella of the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. And he says, if this AEW promotion gets fleshed out, do you think they should look for a TV deal or just adopt a streaming service model?
For me, I really think in this day and age that they still need to look for TV over streaming. They need that national exposure if they want to be a competitive source in this market, if they want to compete with WWE, if they want to lure guys to their promotion. I think they need that national TV deal.
Here's my question, and I've had most of my conversations with Rich, what up, Rich, of One Nation Radio, and when we were kind of discussing this, now I'm by no means like a marketing guy or a television industry guy. Like I understand hypothetically how the money works, but I don't get this stuff that much. But one thing I've wondered, okay, so to kind of put it in layman terms, there was a company that was rumored a few weeks ago, and Jericho was tied to it. JR was tied to it. This family, the Khans, who own the Jacksonville Jaguars, were tied to it. As far as rumors are concerned, and then the four main guys from the Elite: Cody, the Young Bucks, and Kenny. And hypothetically, the rest of the Elite guys would be involved with this in some manner. And when we heard it, I kind of thought it was a ridiculous idea, but once the trademarks started coming out, that was kind of the smoking gun last week, was these trademarks that we know that they're planning to do All Into, and it was going to be called All or Nothing, and the trademark for AEW, All Elite Wrestling, AEW All or Nothing, and then the fact that it is the actual LLCs for all this is tied to the home address of the
Jacksonville Jaguars, the
TIAA stadium. So you can just connect the dots, and now it appears that it's not just smoke that's tied to this fire.
And also, Cody has been tweeting a lot about the Jaguars this year.
Yeah. If you do a history search, he has been, and it's like people want to talk about New Japan throwing out breadcrumbs. Like they've been throwing out breadcrumbs all year.
Yeah.
But my question is, what would this company be? Because the wrestling industry is so, it's so precarious. Like, you know what I mean?
What would you mean?
What kind of business model do they adopt? Is this going to be like, let's say, we know they've got financial backing,
right?
Let's say they get bodies, right? And they've got a group of guys. They've got a promotion. Is this a company that's going to do a similar business model to WWE, where they tour the country and they do house shows and then they set up television? Or is it going to be like WCW back in the day, where it's primarily television tapings, or like how NXT is, where they're taping and they're in studios doing that sort of thing? One thing that I thought about, and I don't know if this is what they would do, I don't know if it would make business sense or not, but it kind of, what if they did? This is just an idea I had, because I was like, I just don't know if those. I don't know if they try to do like what Ring of Honor is doing, or Impact is doing,
right,
or MLW, or these different, or WWE. What if this was a company that kind of tried to adopt the UFC model
and just doing pay-per-view,
big shows?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that that's all they would ever do, but I do feel like that they did all in, right? I'm not saying that I could see them like having nothing but 10,000 seat shows all the time, but Pride and the UFC both were companies that did these big major shows, and like back in the day in Japan, you look at like the UWFI and companies like this, where they would build big shows. And they've already shown a track record of being able to build big shows using being the Elite and things like that. What if they were able to secure a television deal where they're like, because you look at PBC, like boxing, and you look at the UFC, and you look at World Series of Fighting, and I know these are a little bit different, but they're not doing episodic television. They're doing big events a few times a year and getting paid a bunch of money for it.
Yeah.
And what if like AEW was able to basically take the model of, say, what's it called over on the East Coast, the Super Indie? What's wrong with me?
Which
every month there's a
Evolve.
No, on the East Coast over in California.
You mean West Coast?
West Coast, my bad.
PWG.
What if AEW just becomes Major League PWG? And they're just doing big shows. I mean, it'd be hard to convince me that if they were bringing in big names, big guys, and doing big shows like that, and then running, not touring like Poughkeepsie or touring like, West Palm Beach, but they're only running like Atlanta, Tampa, Boston,
right.
New York City, like
Philadelphia,
Philly, big cities, and they're running mid to large size arenas exclusively, and then with the right amount, I feel like that could be what they're planning to do.
That's a great idea. The only thing that makes me think they wouldn't go that way is just the fact that they already trademarked Tuesday Night Dynamite.
So you think? Oh, okay. So you think Tuesday Night Dynamite?
Yeah, that's what they've trademarked.
Tuesday Night Dynamite?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah, it's a horrible name.
Hey guys, if you're listening out there, just know Tuesday Night Dynamite is an awful name.
But just because they trademark it doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
I know this is my attempt to curve that.
But I really do like your idea of doing the whole UFC model / PWG kind of thing.
I'm not saying they're gonna do that. I'm just saying Well, one reason I thought of this, okay, is because we got to ask ourselves, how is this going to affect the relationships with all these other companies?
Right.
And almost all of these guys have voiced on some level or another the fact that they want to keep working with New Japan. Because they're all saying it, I think that they want to keep working with New Japan. And why would they not want to? I mean, it's the second largest company in the world.
Right.
It's a great relationship to have.
And to say, we have all elite wrestling superstars on New Japan, that's going to give their show a buzz.
It would help their show. The reason I was saying that they could make it like PWG is because let's say they have this company that exists out there, and I mentioned this to Rich, and if I'm just a simple mark and I don't know business, then that might just be what this is, because someone else could probably definitely come out and be like, hey, for this reason, it wouldn't work. And I would be like, okay, because I'm not by any means like a businessman like that. Yeah. But, they start this company. Let's say they have a partnership with New Japan. Now they can run big shows and then bring over Tomohiro Ishii, Kazuchika Okada, Tetsuya Naito, LIJ, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Chaos.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and also too, I mean, if they wanted to somehow stay with Ring of Honor, I mean, they could feature Ring of Honor guys as well.
I think that relationship's going to be broken once this is all said and done.
Yeah.
But one reason I thought about this idea of having major shows only is because if they were to be able to come to these other because they've shown a willingness to work with outside companies, right? Mm-hmm. And if they were able to go to Impact and able to go to Ring of Honor and go to these companies that are in the U.S. and say, what you guys are doing is nothing like what we are doing. Mm-hmm. We're going to run big crossover shows.
Right.
That will feature the best wrestlers in the world. We're
essentially doing 12 supercards
exclusively, big pay-per-views. And if you guys want to be tied to it, you can we're not going to compete against you in the sense that we're not going to run tours in your areas. We're not going to try to compete with your television. In fact, if you work with us, we will highlight your champions. We will highlight your titles. We will highlight your show and give you a bigger name.
Yeah.
And then if they're able to keep the New Japan relationship, they can get all those guys from CMLL and some of those guys from AAA that are now working with them. Mm-hmm. They can grab guys from Rev Pro. They can literally get a talent base. And the thing is, they've got enough money to do it now. Yeah. Well, hypothetically,
right?
If the money is right, that's behind it, and if they can get the right merchandising or the right advertising deal and sponsorship behind this, then these other companies, like New Japan wants to expand in the U.S. and everyone's talking about how like this could hypothetically impede that, mm-hmm. and it might. But what if they're in here to do business and these guys are trying to make money? Don't get me wrong, like they're businessmen, they're trying to make money.
Yeah.
But what if they realize that killing the industry is not the way to do it, and monopolizing the industry is not the way to do it?
Right. So they want to help build up all these other companies as well as build their company.
It sounds like a dream or like very altruistic, and maybe I'm being naive in saying this, but like, and here's another thing too. Okay, I think that they know that you got to showcase talent that people, in order to get people to come, you got to showcase things to them that they don't always have the ability to see. You know what I mean? So let's say that they try to work with New Japan, and New Japan says no, they're not going to do this sort of thing. Whatever company this ends up being, if it even works, you know, all they got to do is just go to go to like All Japan, Noah, Dragon Gate, or like Stardom or whoever, and they're gonna get those guys. And you know, we talk about how much we love New Japan. Obviously, that's the whole point of this podcast, but you know, from all the reports, Noah's had a banner year this year. All Japan's had like a banner year. And, you know, when did Wrestle Kingdom 9 like happen?
That was what, 3
years ago? What, this year's Wrestle Kingdom 12?
Yeah.
It's next year's 2019?
Yeah, next year's 2019.
Oh my God. 2019, and it's 2012, so I'm terrible at math. 3 years ago, yeah. So what, 2016?
Yeah.
But like, okay, so that's the thing. Like, New Japan,
2016, yeah. Or
maybe 2015.
Yeah.
2015. Okay, I don't know. I'm terrible at math. But you know, the thing is with New Japan is like, since 2015, they've been on everybody's radar. But they've been putting on this kind of level of product since like 2012, 2011, just people weren't watching it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And from the reports from people that watch DDT or that watch Big Japan or that watch All Japan or that watch, you know, Dragon Gate, there is no shortage of talent that just have never been highlighted. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Kento Miyahara is incredible, but he's just not highlighted. I think if these All Elite guys are smart, they can basically say, hey, we've got this relationship with you. We want to keep working with you guys. We will highlight your guys, bring them over, do right by them. We will still come over. We will still do business. We will still be part of the New Japan roster and work together and everything like that. And also, if they do something like this, Ring of Honor can keep these guys and not go under, hypothetically.
Right.
But if New Japan was like, you know what, screw you guys, you've turned your back on us, we're phasing you out.
Right, and we're keeping our Ring of Honor partnership.
All they got to do is be like, all right, well then that's on you, because we're going to turn around. We got all this money. You guys don't want the money? You don't have to be part of it. We will literally grab all the free talent that's out here in Japan and bring them over. And you think that like a guy like Sakamoto or whoever, or all these guys from Dragon Gate that can freaking go, that like the average fan doesn't know about, you think if Kenny and them give them the stage that they're not gonna freaking blow up?
Yeah.
Whoever they give the stage to is gonna blow up. Look at Bandito and Flamita.
Yeah. You know, Kenny's another interesting name you mentioned, because I mean, he's the current IWGP champion, facing Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom. It's like, Kenny loves wrestling in New Japan, wrestling in Japan. I mean, he lives there, so you kind of think he's going to be probably pushing for New Japan to be working with these guys.
Yeah, I don't know what All Elite Wrestling is going to be. I mean, if it's going to be like an actual promotion where it's a real promotion, you know?
Yeah, they're running TV, pay-per-views, house shows.
Yeah, and they're a constant content creator like a WWE, and they want to do the whole WCW sort of thing. That's probably likely. Like the idea that I'm throwing out there maybe isn't as likely, but then I think to myself about All In, and I think to myself about PWG, and everyone's always said, what if PWG were to expand? And everyone's like, well, they don't want to.
Right.
And then these guys are like, well, we've got the talent to do it. And like, what if they just were like, we're just going to run big shows and make them extravaganzas? I mean, that is what Pride was.
Right.
That is what the UFC essentially was. I mean, the UFC is like more saturated now, but I mean, if you can build it to like where pay-per-view would work that way, or let's say they get a TV deal. They don't have to. They could literally get a TV deal and do like television specials that are the equivalent to like a Saturday night's main event.
Right. Yeah.
And get tons of money, and like Vince would crap his pants, dude.
Yeah.
And also keep all these other companies viable without having to like put them under, because there is the other idea where like this could like really hurt Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I mean this doesn't look great for Ring of Honor right now, because clearly the elite guys have been the top draws in Ring of Honor. I mean, Ring of Honor had their best year this year, but I mean that's mainly due to the elite guys. I mean, Cody's came in. I mean, he became the top drawing champion there for the longest time. And so also this could affect the partnership.
The merchandise, everything.
Yeah, the merchandise. This could affect the partnership with New Japan.
I mean, New Japan could be like, well, we already have a relationship more with the elite guys, so we're dropping Ring of Honor, and All Elite Wrestling will be our new America partner. Yeah, that could. I mean, if I was New Japan and this really popped off, and I had to make a choice, hypothetically, I think that is what I would do. I mean, but then again, Sinclair Broadcasting is behind Ring of Honor, and there's that. It has seemed like, for instance, that they haven't known what to do with the New Japan guys like Ring of Honor for a while now.
Yeah.
They don't even know what to do with their own guys, bottom line. And I feel like if you had the right guys booking a major product, like let's say what AEW hypothetically might be, they might know better what to do with the New Japan talent than Ring of Honor even does.
Right.
I mean, there's so many questions that we don't even know, like, who would be booking this?
Right.
What is the business model?
Right.
And, like, lots of people like Dave Meltzer himself, and to answer your question, Clive, because you were asking us earlier, they probably are dead in the water without a television deal.
Yeah.
Just because you need that visibility and to get the kind of, like, television ad time, like to get paid the way that a major company like that should get paid, you need television. You need the television deal so you can get the ad space.
I mean, everybody talks about cord cutting, but clearly there are still TV channels that are paying tons of money for content. I mean, look at the WWE TV deals coming up for Fox and USA.
Everyone, I mean, there's definitely going to be an element of business, where you run your shows online, and that is the wave of the future, and that's true. But like, everybody is looking for live content. That's why, like, wrestling to me has always seemed to make sense, and why I think something like this could really work is because, historically speaking, since the advent of cable television, like wrestling always draws some of the highest ratings on all of television. It is live content, which is what everyone is looking for these days. It is dirt cheap to make. It costs so much less to pay for wrestling than it does for an episode of The Walking Dead or whatever show you want to, make.
Right.
And and it like I said, it's dirt cheap. It's easy to produce. It draws money. Like, it's a no-brainer. But for whatever reason, there's been so many companies that just didn't want it. You know what I mean? But now things are changing, and everyone's trying to... No one knows what the future holds when it comes to distribution of content like this. So everyone's looking for the next thing, and it's like, WWE just got $2 billion. Mm-hmm. What are the chances that a company with the right business model, the right personalities, might be able... I mean, they're paying... like, they're paying like Bellator and... I can't remember some of these other MMA companies, Combate Americas. Like, there's a bunch of these companies are getting like major deals that probably some of them don't deserve the money behind it. It's just because everyone's because there's this bubble that might burst and everyone's afraid of it.
Right.
So, I mean, this is probably like a perfect storm of the right time to do something like this. Now, historically, startups like this, they fail and they lose money. And I mean, like, there's a good chance that either this doesn't happen, or if it does, like, it fails.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Kenny the Bucks and Cody fail, and then they're still hot properties, and they can go back onto the indie scene or go back
to full-time New Japan, or
WWE signs them or whatever.
Right,
I don't know. I mean, my hat's off to these guys because I get it. Like, there is something to be praised about, like, having that entrepreneurial spirit, and wanting to start off and do something on your own. I mean, they could have easily just taken the WWE money and then done that.
Right. And Kenny Omega came out in an interview last week saying, if money was my motivation, I would already be in WWE. So clearly, like we've mentioned before, Kenny is not about money. He cares about, creative freedom, the artistic, the love of pro wrestling.
And I mean, if it works out, they'll always be able to say, like, we're the guys that did this. We took on Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty exciting. I don't know what it all means, at the end of the day. I mean, do you have any final thoughts on this sort of thing?
I mean, it's going to be the story to be looking out for the next couple months, especially when we get to January.
Well, we got, talk about the stuff with WWE and them signing everybody.
Yeah, so WWE, I mean, breaking news today was confirmed by PW Insider that Walter has signed with
official.
He's signed with WWE. He's going to be a star for the UK division. And pretty much at this point, with this All Elite Wrestling news, I mean, WWE was already signing up talent like crazy. But now, with this All Elite Wrestling news breaking out, they are on the hunt now. They are signing up everybody they possibly can. Rumored for January, Shane Strickland, ACH, Trevor Lee. All these guys, top guys that have been on TV. Dude, they're taking anybody and everybody.
They've known about these guys for years. They've known about them forever. And this stuff with the Elite and MSG and All In, it's all coming to a head. And Vince is going to do whatever he has to do to prevent a WCW scenario. And so he's like, all right, well, I'll just sign up the best talent that's out there. And, hey, it's great for these guys that exist, that want to get paid. Congratulations, that's awesome. But it's not healthy. It's not healthy for this industry.
I mean, you have all this talent stockpiled under one roof, and
bro, they don't know what to do with them, bro.
And even if they did, it's like there's only so many guys you can put on so many hours of TV. Like,
oh man, yeah.
And so it's gonna get worse the next couple of months. They're gonna be on the warpath, signing up everybody and anybody they possibly can.
Yeah, because they want to take the talent pool away.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, absolutely.
And in other WWE related news, it came out today that there's been an update with the UK contracts. This past weekend there were tapings in Liverpool, and a lot of the guys were given new contracts for more money, but there were some things in the contract that have been changed. So now these UK guys can no longer be booked on any other outside show unless it's a company that has a working partnership with WWE. So that means these UK guys that have to work only like Progress, ICW, these companies that already have relationships with.
They're not going to be working. I mean, it's already kind of stopped, but you're not going to see them in Rev Pro or OTT or like Destiny Group or What Culture. What's it called now? It's Defy.
Defy, yeah.
Most of the U.S. indies, if they even were working in it, like you're just not going to see it anymore.
PWG, none of that.
Yeah.
And not only can they not do that anymore, if they are working somewhere else that's approved, they can no longer wrestle non-WWE UK contracted wrestlers. And the contract says they cannot wrestle New Japan guys, Ring of Honor, Impact, World of Sport. Pretty much none of the major competition.
The guys that they're competing with.
Right. So, for example, we could never get another Pete Dunne, Zack Sabre Jr.
Or Pete Dunne and Will Ospreay, which we got this past year.
Right.
Like, no one saw it, but it happened. It was an IPW UK.
Right. So stuff like that can't happen anymore.
Yeah, you're not. I know, like in Destiny, they had Marty Scurll and Pete Dunne, and like, so I mean, it's kind of funny. There's a lot of like super matches like that this past year. Zack Sabre and who's the one with the mustache out of
Tyler Bate.
Those sorts of matches, they're donezo. It's done. I'm sure there will be times where guys get exceptions to this, like for instance, like when they had Cassius Ohno in the Super Strong 16 tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Or like they had Apollo Crews. Did Apollo Crews go work Noah?
He did?
He worked somewhere. They had him work somewhere. I don't remember where, but I'm sure there'll be exceptions like those sort of situations. But like generally speaking, these companies that they've been working with don't have the autonomy to book these guys freely anymore like they were. So
yeah, and the ones that can book them, they can't book big dream matches anymore.
No.
So, And, all this stems from some of the recent UK shows being, low attendance, because you can see these same guys on your local UK indie for $10. So why would you go spend more money for a WWE taping?
Yeah, I mean, basically at this point, it's like if you're going to have Pete Dunne wrestle Progress, right? But he can only wrestle other WWE wrestlers. The only reason you're going to do that is to kind of boost your house show sales by having some WWE guys there, but they're not going to be factored into the long-term, success or trajectory of your company, the booking. So very, very, very interesting stuff. One thing I wanted to point out before we move on from all this stuff is with All Elite Wrestling, this is kind of an unheard of sort of thing. There have been times where people have tried to put together stuff in the U.S. over the past, almost 2 decades to try to compete with WWE. But I want to challenge our listeners. If you're not familiar, do yourself a favor. Look up Super World of Sport. Okay, this was a company that was owned by an optometry company in the early 90s. And when it was started with a group that was partnered with Tenryu. And it is literally the closest thing historically that I can even think of to what is occurring right now with All Elite Wrestling. And so just to kind of give you an idea of what some of the outcomes might be and what it's not exactly the same thing, but I mean, I can't think of very many times where guys were prominent in a company like this left and then they themselves, formed something like this. It's a very similar situation. So if you're not familiar with the Super World of Sport story or, Generachu Tenryu's story, you might want to do some research on that for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely interesting stuff. Looking forward to going with All Elite and all the WWE signing up stuff, people. So,
and then, so let's get through this news pretty quickly and wrap this up here.
Yeah, so Wrestle Kingdom 13, there's going to be same-day coverage on Access this year because Wrestle Kingdom 13 falls on a Friday. The top 2 hours of the show will air approximately on a 14-hour tape delay on Access TV after airing live on New Japan World from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Access TV. Both the Kenny Omega vs. Hiroshi Tanahashi title match and the Chris Jericho vs. Naito matches will be airing in that 2-hour window. Depending on how long those matches go, they could add a third match. Access is also scheduling 5 hours for Tokyo Dome matches with another 2-hour special from 8 to 10 on January 11th and a 1-hour block on January 18th. And as far as the announcing situation, New Japan and Access have reached a new deal. Going forward, Access is going to air the New Japan World commentary feed rather than doing their own voiceovers like they've been doing with Jim Ross and Josh Barnett. So that means Kevin Kelly will be the lead announcer, and depending on what show it is, obviously for Wrestle Kingdom they'll have Don, but other shows, it'll probably be like Rocky, Chris Charlton, whoever they bring in to come alongside Kevin Kelly on the Access TV feeds. And that's something a lot of fans have been crying out for, having Kevin Kelly just be on the Access feed.
Yeah. This is all great news. I'm glad that Access, and New Japan are strengthening their partnership and making some smart moves when it comes to, their biggest show of the year. So, that's excellent, man. Think about all the years where people were not able to watch Dome shows until, I've been listening to the Post Wrestling podcast where they have the Eggshells companion piece with our good friend Chris Charlton, which that is an excellent podcast, by the way. If you guys are not familiar with, the history of Puroresu, I highly recommend those episodes. But, talking about how, years ago we had to wait months and months and months before you could even hope to get a tape of, a Dome show that happened, earlier in the year. Now, we can watch it literally live on our computers, and we can, with Access, for those of you who don't have New Japan World, you could just, watch it the next day. You sleep in and then, it's right there. That's excellent. So, that's really, really cool stuff. And I think it's also a good move to have, the broadcast team that's on New Japan World be the consistent voice that people hear when they
You get one voice for the English team.
Yeah, I think it's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good.
And plus, I think from a technical standpoint, I think it would make it more just be easier. Why waste time doing voiceovers when you can just get the same feed?
The only thing I can think that might be different is maybe if you wanted to propagate Access or something like that.
Right.
You don't get that as much. But I mean, Kevin Kelly's a pro. Like, I'm sure if Access wants him to say something, on the New Japan World feed, like, he'll probably do it. So
yeah. And speaking of Wrestle Kingdom 13, more updates. The ticket sales have just been going fast, and on the Observer, it was talking about the lottery for the fan club for members only. Another section being sold out, but the Tokyo Dome tickets are ahead of pace from last year. And Dave was saying that's saying something because last year you had Hot Naito against the legendary championship run of Okada, plus you had the Alpha versus Omega singles match. Looking at this year, you pretty much have the same 6 guys in the top 3 matches, but this time obviously it's Omega and Tanahashi, Jericho, Naito, and Okada and Jay White. So go for Tanahashi going for the title one last time. It's clearly been a big draw in their whole philosophy battle on styles of wrestling, and all the shoot stuff they've been doing. It's clearly been working, and so far this year it's been a bigger draw than last year.
I don't know if necessarily that's true. I just think the product is hot.
Product's hot. Man's hot.
Man's hot. I mean, I'm not discounting it, but I'm saying, like, I feel like it's hard to draw a parallel and say it's directly caused by. I have a hard time believing that it's directly caused by the meta build of Tanahashi and Omega sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think more so. I mean, I could definitely see if it's just a hot ticket because that match is so big because of the personalities.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they've marketed it especially well to where it's like, wow, it's that snowball effect of like the momentum that they've picked up over the past year or so. And I mean, I think they could have done almost any match at the top and they were probably going to do better than they did last year just based on their momentum.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Also, the Wrestling Observer reports that Hiromu Takahashi might not be able to return to the ring at all. So again, we don't know. This is kind of what Dave has heard. Dave has been wrong in the past about.
My only thing is he said like the other day he was like 91% healed.
Yeah, Hiromu Takahashi, he's doing these diary things on Twitter, and he said that he's at 93%. So I mean, it could be one of those things. Hiromu's just being Hiromu and saying random stuff.
All I know is they got Hanma in the ring, okay, and they're talking about Shibata coming back. So bring Hiromu back. Let's do it. He'll be fine. I hope.
Well, yeah. So
I hope.
We'll see if if there's some more truth to this report in the upcoming months.
And on a serious note, if he really got hurt to the point where he couldn't come back, my heart would break, bro.
Yeah, that'd be sad. Best of the Super Junior tournament star Dragon Lee has finally left the reality show Excation, but not because he was eliminated. It was due to a medical issue he was having with his ears. So once
you tapped out,
once that gets taken care of, he should be back to wrestling. Coming up on January 6th, Zack Sabre Jr. facing the Bastard Pac at Rev Pro.
Is that what he's called himself now, Bastard Pac?
Yeah. So that's a big dream match happening.
I saw someone that posted this on Instagram, and then someone basically wrote underneath it, and they're like, all right, I just failed No Nut November. But yeah, I'm very excited for this match.
The crazy thing is, this is 2 days after Wrestle Kingdom, 1 day after New Year's Dash. I'm not sure if Sabre will be able to make New Year's Dash.
Do you think they haven't announced the Ishii Sabre match? I'm assuming that's taking place at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a lock. But
any chance Zack Sabre comes in with the belt for this show against Pac?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like he's gotten the upper hand on Ishii so many times in the last couple months.
Do you feel like this match being made on January 6th is more indication that Ishii's going to retain or lose the title?
I think Ishii's going to retain the title, and I think this will just be a big dream match main event.
So you don't so that's just your opinion in general.
Yeah.
Like this match doesn't sway you one way or the other to think.
No. I mean, Sabre could win, and this be a Rev Pro title match.
Because when I saw this, it made me feel like maybe Zach was going to lift the belt because he's wrestling Pac.
Right. Because
I don't know.
Because I feel like you would want Pac to go over, so I don't think they would put the belt on Sabre and then put the belt right on Pac.
No. What if Zach came in as the champion and he was the champion unexpectedly, and he loses non-title match to Pac, setting up another match?
That could happen.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I don't know. But yeah, I want to see that match. I think that's one of the most anticipated Rev Pro matches I've ever seen. Yeah,
that's going to be awesome. This weekend we had some IWGP US title defenses, in air quotes. Cody was on the WSW Australia tour, and so was Joey Ryan. Obviously, both men are currently injured right now and cannot physically compete. So they had a staring contest, a rock, paper, scissors contest, and a thumb war contest, all for the IWGP US title, and Cody winning all three.
I don't have much to say about it. Do you think New Japan saw this or even cares that they did that?
No, I don't think they saw it, and I'm sure they're not going to treat it as serious defenses. So
yeah, because I mean that would piss me off if I found out if I went on Cage Match and I see Cody's got 3 title defenses, I'd be pissed.
Also during that Australia tour, Marty Scurll and Brody King won the WSW World Tag Team titles. The free match of the week this week is War Machine versus Killer Elite Squad from last year's World Tag League.
That's a good match.
Also up right now, the latest episode of The Recount, which is looking at the history of the Bullet Club. Part 1 is up on YouTube and New Japan World. Have you seen on Reddit this poster for a parody New Japan show that's happening on December 14th?
Yes. But you know what? That's not that uncommon. I actually watched a documentary one time about this college where they were running pro wrestling shows as part of the college in Japan. And instead of amateur wrestling, they have amateur pro wrestling in college. And they were doing tribute shows, and I guess in Japan, tribute shows with amateur pro wrestlers is not that uncommon, and it's kind of treated as a funny Japanese sort of thing. So yeah. I did see the poster and I was amazed. It looked I was I would definitely go to this show.
Yeah. Brian Pillman Jr., MLW star, member of the Hart Foundation, has been hinting to a New Japan run.
Come on.
So maybe
Come on,
we'll
Flying
see.
Brian.
Yeah, we'll see Flying Brian Jr.
I want to see him wear the tiger stripe, the Bengal colors.
Yeah,
it's my favorite. I'm not a big fan of loose cannon. I want white meat babyface Flying Brian and the Z-Man Tom Zink.
Well, he's been doing the loose cannon gimmick in MLW, so I guess we'll see what he does in New Japan.
No, yeah, I would. That would be awesome.
The Great Muta is returning to action. He's going to be on the House of Glory, which is Amazing Red's promotion, on April 5th.
I don't know. We covered him wrestling it in he wrestled in that that California-based promotion at MCW.
I think so.
No, that's Melbourne City Wrestling. I can't remember the name of the company, but yeah, he wrestled last year here in America, and it was really bad. It was really, 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 really bad, and I thought he was done, so I don't know.
Well, clearly the Amazing Red thought it was a great idea to bring him
Masato Tanaka is wrestling PCO
yes.
on December 29th for Game Changer? Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
And then the last thing I have here in the news, the latest episode of Being the Elite came out, called Exorcist. Pretty much the basis of the episode, they were performing an Exorcist on Cody trying to get the evil WWE spirits out of him, and they had the fallen angel Christopher Daniels perform, trying to get the spirit out of him, and it was hilarious. Nick is like, or Matt was like, we had to bring in somebody who's dealt with all the evil in wrestling: Vince Russo, Dixie Carter, and it ends up being Christopher Daniels. So
the fallen angel,
yeah,
it's hilarious.
He had the whole the black robe gimmick, and Kazarian's like, didn't you used to have a mullet when you were doing this gimmick? He's like, shut up. But yeah, another funny episode, pretty much building up to all the contract signing stuff and where they're going. So yeah, thought it was another great episode. And that wraps it up for the news.
We got our award show, our award preview show coming out this week. I think it's going to be dropping either Wednesday or Thursday-ish.
Yeah, sometime later in the week. We're planning on bringing in Rich Latta to join us for that show.
We slacked a little. Here's the thing, guys. We finalized all of our award nominations and all of our categories. What day was that? We did that a few days ago?
We did it on Saturday morning?
Saturday, yeah. But we wanted to, basically record the show, so we're waiting for Rich. It's kind of our fault. We probably should have said something to him sooner than this. But, we're going to have the voting up for about a month. And then on Tuesday, December 25th, Christmas Day.
Merry Christmas.
We will be dropping our award announcements. And guys, I got to tell you, we worked really, really hard on the awards this year. I'm very excited. There's a lot of categories where I'm excited to see what you guys pick and what you say, because I don't think it's as predictable this year as it has been. We also have new categories that we didn't do last year, like excursion match of the year, strong style fight of the year,
news story
of the year. So I think that it's gonna be really good.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for that. Make sure you subscribe. You'll see when that episode drops, and we'll post it in the Reddit, of course, and the link for the voting. Next week is our 1-year anniversary episode.
Wow.
That's right. It's been 1 year of Keeping It Strong Style, so you definitely want to tune in next week and support us on our 1-year anniversary episode. And then we'll also be back next week with more World Tag League coverage and all the latest news. So make sure you connect with us on social media. On Twitter, the show is @KI Strong Style. I'm @Jeremy L. Donovan. Social Suplex @Social Suplex. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/Social Suplex. You can also join us in the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Wrestling Squared Circle. On Reddit, I am the Pro Black Guy. Josh is Keeping It Strong Style. You can email me, Jeremy @socialsuplex.com. If you have any questions for the show or want to be involved with the Social Suplex team, you can check out all the other shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show from Scotland. The Outsider's Edge, featuring Rance, Carl, and Kyle. And our podcast dedicated to independent wrestling. Grown Men Watch This Shit, hosted by Jeremy Tate and Chris Bryan. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And until next time, goodbye and good night. Bang!
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.